Chapter 8:11. Yi Tianyun's words made them dumbfounded. And the key is that it's really reasonable. If Yi Tianyun became the 5th level master, he would be more valuable and they would be happier. The problem was, did they really think that way? Of course not. If they really thought that way, then they were definitely finished. If they really wanted to establish a relationship with him, this would be the best choice. Now that they wanted to kill Yi Tianyun, they definitely couldn't let him succeed in the challenge. Most importantly, Yi Tianyun's words were impeccable. They didn't know what to say. They wanted to cry, but had no tears, especially Ruifeng. He wanted to vomit blood, but he was controlled. He couldn't say anything even if he wanted to. Yi Tianyun already knew the cause and effect. How could he still follow? Ruifeng wanted to shout. Yi Tianyun already knows. What are you guys talking about? If there are no more questions, you guys can go back. After the challenge, I will find you guys to go to the special training area. Yi Tianyun waved his hand, indicating that they could leave. They wanted to vomit blood. If they could kidnap Yi Tianyun, they would have done it long ago. The problem was that they couldn't do that. They couldn't beat Yi Tianyun. This won't take up much of your time. You just need to go for a while. Really? They were about to kneel down. If they didn't go, their rainflower country would be finished. At this moment, Su Zhongming walked over. He glared at them and said, I asked you guys to do something, but you can't even do it properly. A bunch of trash. You can scram now. They were startled. They quickly thanked him and said, Thank you, Lord Su. Thank you, Lord Su. After saying that, they turned around and wanted to leave. Unexpectedly, a cold voice came from the side. Did I say you guys can leave? As soon as he finished speaking, a protective shield enveloped them in an instant. Fourth level master. What do you mean by this? They looked at the barrier enveloping them. It meant that they were being judged. A bunch of dogs. Do you really think I don't know? You have to pay the price for your actions. Yi Tianyun's eyes are cold. He didn't wait for them to react. He kicked them. With a dong sound, the two men's bodies caved in, and they were kicked to death just like that. There seemed to be no problem on the outside, but their internal organs had long been destroyed, and they couldn't be more dead. Their brand quickly rushed over, leaving many shallow marks on his arm. He would never let traitors off, especially those who planned to attack him. He would never let them live. How dare you call us trash? Su Zhongming angrily said. Don't think that I don't dare to fight you. You trash human, there are trash everywhere. Is that so? Since I'm trash, then all of you are worse than trash. If you have the ability, don't just talk. Come and fight me. Let's see who is the real trash. Yi Tianyun looked at him with a burning gaze. Su Zhongming was speechless, and cold sweat immediately broke out. How would he dare to really challenge Yi Tianyun? At that time, he wouldn't even know how he died. This friend, his temper is a little big. Let's talk nicely. At this time, a tall and handsome cultivator walked over. He was none other than Song Yuheng, the mastermind behind the scenes who designed this scheme. But this scheme was a little too low-end, and it was easily seen through by Yi Tianyun. If it were some other greedy people, they would definitely take the bait. Clearly, these were seriously unable to entice him. 6th level master? Yi Tianyun sized him up and said with a faint smile, Why? You want to stand up for him? To judge me? Feel free to come. I welcome you very much. A low-level master had no way to judge a high-level master. Otherwise, he would have long slashed with his sword. Why would there be so many rules? How is that possible? Song Yuheng smiled amiably and said, We had some misunderstandings previously. I am here to talk about a deal. Regardless of whether it is for you or for us, it will be beneficial. Is that so? Let's hear it, Yi Tianyun said with narrowed eyes. Then let's borrow a place to discuss. The matter we are talking about is rather important. We have to sit down and discuss it properly. I know you are a little biased against us, but what matter can't we discuss properly? Song Yuheng inquired. How important is it? Can we talk about it here? Yi Tianyun said indifferently. It's not easy to talk about it here. Are you afraid that we will plot against you? Song Yuheng looked at him and said with a smile. I'm afraid that you will plot against me? It's indeed not easy to talk about anything here. Bring me over, Yi Tianyun said. All right, this way, please. Song Yuheng extended his hand and gestured with extreme politeness. Yi Tianyan nodded and followed him to the front. When Yi Tianyan's back was facing the two of them, a sinister look flashed past their eyes, but there were more smiles of success. This brat fell for it so easily. Isn't it a little too easy? Su Zhongming felt that it was a little scary. This brat has always been extremely arrogant. To have this kind of cultivation at such a young age, he must be extraordinarily arrogant. So what if he sees through our scheme? At that time, it won't be that simple. Song Yuheng and the others transmitted their voices. Yi Tianyan couldn't hear what they were saying. He just followed them and walked into the floor master's palace. When he just stepped into the palace, the place was instantly enveloped by layers of thick barriers. Layer after layer enveloped over. At this moment, he discovered that he was enveloped by 5 barriers. This meant that he was receiving the trial of 5 people. The trial didn't have a specific number of people. As long as their rank was higher than his, they could undergo the trial. This meant that it could be a one-on-one fight or a group fight. In the blink of an eye, the 5 people locked on to his escape range. Almost at the same time, 4 arms emerged from their backs, adding up to a total of 6 arms. The 6-armed evil spirit race could be said to have erupted their power to the extreme. It was evident how cautious they were. A group attack? Yi Tianyan glanced around, and detailed information immediately appeared in front of him. In addition to Song Yuheng and Su Zhongming, there were 3 other people with equally amazing cultivation. They were all at the 6th or 7th layer of the Saint King stage. Yi Tianyan had to admit that their arms were really amazing. Since ordinary plots couldn't work against him, they could only use force. Brat, I didn't expect you to be so stupid. You took the bait so easily. As expected of Brother Song, you are arrogant and think that you are absolutely invincible. You are not afraid of any conspiracy. Now I really believe it. I have seen stupid people, but I have never seen such a stupid person. Su Zhongming laughed and said, let's see if you can survive this time. You should know that this is our territory. Boom! The flame marks on the hands of the 5 people erupted one after another. Among them, the other 3 people actually had 7 flame marks on their hands. They were not floor masters, but deacon-level existences. The ancient Ming Divine Pagoda can allow several deacons to exist, so they can all have the power of trial. You are right. I just feel that I am absolutely invincible. Is there a problem? Yi Tianyan glanced around disdainfully. He liked this kind of simple and crude way of doing things. If a one-on-one fight couldn't work, he could allow them to gang up on him. No matter how many people came, he would kill them all. This way, he wouldn't have to worry about wasting his experience cards. Chapter 812. Yi Tianyan's arrogance made them laugh. They had seen arrogant people before, but they had never seen someone so arrogant. Arrogance, and self-righteousness. These are the reasons for your death. Song Yuheng looked at him and sneered. You destroyed the heavenly netherworld divine nation, but that was because you borrowed the power of the Phoenix clan's old ancestor. Remember, that was someone else's power, not yours. Yi Tianyan was startled. Wasn't there some loophole in the information collected by the other party? But thinking about it carefully, it was indeed the Phoenix clan who destroyed the heavenly netherworld divine nation, and he had contributed. But the key point was that if he hadn't killed the imperial preceptor and the heavenly netherworld holy king, the Phoenix clan would have been in great danger. As the 5 of them spoke, they moved closer. The imprints in the hands of the 5 floor masters quickly erupted with power. Then they linked up in the air, forming a thick net of heavenly flames. This was no longer a simple netherworld flame, but a preliminary evolution of the heavenly flame. A terrifying cold air pervaded the main hall, constantly being released in all directions. A thick layer of ice quickly formed inside the palace, and even the door outside was blocked. The situation here was immediately known to the cultivators outside, and when they wanted to come in and see, they were forced to retreat by the cold chi, not daring to approach even half a step. Obviously, there was a protective shield protecting them, but the cold chi still drifted out from inside, giving them a feeling of death. What the hell is going on? The judgment suddenly came. I remember that Senior Su shouldn't have such an aura. That's right, this power is a bit too strong. Did Senior Su make a breakthrough again? Impossible. Even if he made a breakthrough, it's impossible for him to be so strong. It's simply terrifying. One by one, they wanted to go in and see what was going on, but they were blocked outside by the protective shield. The shield released by the 5 floor masters was enough to cover the entire palace. Wanting to go in was simply impossible. They could only be blocked outside. Inside, the energy of the 5 floor masters intertwined, forming an airtight light net, which meant that no matter where Tianyun tried to escape, he would be trapped inside. This was a very high treatment for him. 5 St. King stage powerhouses had come out to help him. It was a sign that they thought highly of him. This could be considered as putting Tianyun on the list of dangerous targets. He had to be killed, and he had to be very cautious. You're right. I'm arrogant, so what if I'm invincible? There are only 5 of you. Aren't you looking down on me? Tianyun looked at them. Their powers were all fused together. Coupled with their story master's authority, their battle prowess skyrocketed. They were much stronger than if they fought alone. None of them were at the peak of the St. King stage, but now that the strength of the 5 of them was combined, their combined strength was comparable to that of a peak St. King stage master. This was the case where everyone had their own power, rather than the power of a peak St. King stage cultivator. Arrogant, Su Zhongming sneered and said, "The forces we sent out are powerful, but they were still destroyed by you. But don't forget, this is our territory. I will devour you bit by bit. Let's see if you can still be arrogant then." Song Yuheng stretched out his hand to stop Su Zhongming and motioned him not to speak. Instead, he looked at him with an oppressive aura and said, "We will now give you 2 choices. The first choice is to join us. As long as you sign a slave contract, we will not treat you unfairly. After all, your strength is not bad. We don't want a genius like you to die like this. Although we are not very happy with each other, when we unify the 3 realms, there will be a place for you. We will not treat anyone who is loyal to us unfairly. We will give you a reasonable position. We will not burn the bridge after crossing the river. The second choice is as Su Zhongming said. You will die and be devoured by us bit by bit. Which one do you choose?" Song Yuheng looked at Tianyun coldly. He didn't look like he was trying to negotiate. He just wanted to bully Tianyun with a tough attitude. This kind of attitude was not surprising. Originally, they had the best conditions and felt that they were in control of the situation. How could they lower themselves to negotiate? "If I sign a slave contract, will I become your dog for the rest of my life?" Tianyun sneered. How could he not know what they were thinking? It was nothing more than thinking that he was strong and a human. If he became their man, it would be easy for him to blend into the enemy's ranks and help them do many things. If he agreed, there was no doubt that he would become their dog like those people before. In any case, this is the choice we are giving you. Whether you are willing or not, it is your own choice. Song Yuheng said indifferently. I will give you 3 seconds to consider. If you exceed the time limit, we will immediately launch an attack. Don't think that you can break our attack. With 5 St. King stage experts working together, coupled with the absolute power of the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda, you will find how stupid your struggle is. They had absolute confidence. It was not because they were very confident in their own strength, but because they were full of confidence in the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda. Under the extreme power of the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda, even if they faced a peak St. King stage expert, they would have the strength to fight. This was their trump card and the source of their confidence. 1. Song Yuheng immediately began to count. Su Zhongming and the others looked at him with a teasing expression. Many cultivators were crushed by them in this way. They either submitted or died. 2. Song Yuheng said in a deep voice. Tianyun showed a bright smile, which made Song Yuheng and the others stunned. Why was he smiling so happily at this time? Did he make a decision? I have decided, and that is the 3rd choice. All of you must die. While they were stunned, Tianyun had already disappeared. In an instant, he appeared next to the strongest evil spirit race expert. The evil spirit divine sword immediately appeared in his hand. Combined with the terrifying ancient desolate set, he fiercely slashed down. Voila! Even if the dense heavenly fire condensed into a light net to help him resist the attack, this terrifying attack still tore the space apart and ruthlessly cut the evil spirit race expert into two. At the same time, the terrifying immortal fire devoured the evil spirit race expert. In the blink of an eye, the evil spirit race expert turned into a pile of sand and fell to the ground. Ding! Successfully killed Mills. Reward: 27. 6 billion EXP, 430,000 crazy point, 20,000 SPs. Chapter 813. In the blink of an eye, an evil spirit race ranker was killed. After the evil spirit race ranker died, the formation immediately had a large impact. The originally dense net of light immediately shrunk by almost half, and it seemed that the effect was much weaker. Everyone was horrified. They couldn't even see how Etionyan moved, but he already killed one of them. This speed is beyond the range of their perception, which made them shocked. Etionyan didn't run to the evil spirit race's expert, so they won't be able to see him using teleportation. The next moment, Etionyan's figure quickly moved, and the desolate ancient set on his body emitted a faint yellow light. Etionyan's speed was immediately increased by a dozen times, and with the speed of the evil spirit set and Phoenix bloodline, they could only see an afterimage. They're Saint King stage powerhouses, but they can't even see Etionyan clearly. Etionyan's real cultivation is only at 7th layer Saint King stage. Compared to them, his cultivation is either a little higher or a little lower. In this state, logically speaking, he should still be able to see very clearly. But with the heaven-defying equipment, they couldn't see Etionyan's figure no matter how hard they tried. A black flame flashed, and the next moment, another evil spirit race's expert was cut in half, and soon it was eroded by the immortal fire and the desolate ancient set's effect. In a blink of an eye, it turned into a pile of black desert. Even if it turned into a pile of black desert, it will still burn. Ding! Successfully killed Dimitri. Reward: 27 billion EXP, 430,000 crazy point, 20,000 SPs. Reward: Evil Spirit Divine Sword, Evil Spirit Blood, Evil Spirit Soul, 50 times EXP card. Being able to get so much EXP from killing this monster really makes Etionyan exclaim, "This is the feeling he needs." It's a pity that there are too few Saint King stage powerhouses. If there were more, he could kill all of them in one go. 50 times EXP card, very good use. Ding! Using 50 times EXP card, the total EXP multiplier is 262 times. First come, first serve, without the slightest hesitation. The price of the 50 times experience card was equivalent to 4 or 5 million yuan in the shop. Otherwise, he would have bought it long ago. Now that he had obtained this thing, it was really a pleasant surprise. It was much more exciting than any divine artifact. Then, he once again rushed towards the next evil spirit race ranker. Now that there were two less rankers, their combined attacks quickly sank to the bottom, and were much weaker than before. Quick, retreat quickly! Song Yuheng was almost scared out of his wits. His previous arrogance was nowhere to be seen. He turned around and fled out of the barrier. He didn't continue to forcefully obstruct Etionyan. From what they saw, they immediately knew that they had made a mistake. Etionyan was truly invincible. In the face of absolute power, all schemes and plots were useless. It was a pity that everything was too slow. With a flash of Etionyan's sword light, another evil spirit race ranker with an even stronger cultivation also turned into a pile of desert dust. Ding! Successfully killed Mihue. Reward: 31. 5 billion EXP, 410,000 crazy point, 13,000 SBS. Reward: Evil Spirit Blood, Evil Spirit Soul, Evil Spirit Bone, Evil Spirit Armor. Ding! Congratulations to player Etionyan for successfully breaking through to 8th layer Saint King stage. Etionyan leveled up easily. The astronomical amount of EXP he lost was abruptly filled up, allowing him to level up successfully. Only at this time, leveling up is not particularly difficult. Usually, when there is no strong opponent, it's really difficult to level up. If there is no EXP card, it's also a tragedy. He needs to kill dozens of Saint King stage rankers to barely level up. But this is fast. If there is a large number of people, he can break through in a few dozen. It's much faster than cultivating slowly. But for him, it's still too slow, so he has to use EXP card to increase his EXP. Even with the usual crazy mode, more than 3 billion experience points were really not enough. If it was before, they would definitely be shocked, but now it can only be regarded as an ordinary existence. After reaching 8th layer Saint King stage, Etienne's cultivation can almost be said to crush them. Etienne's figure flashed, and with a speed dozens of times faster than them, he easily intercepted Su Zhongming and Song Yuhing and kicked them. Bang bang, both of them were kicked away, and a large part of their chests caved in, causing them to vomit blood. A simple kick made them vomit blood. What Floorlord power, what evil spirit race bloodline power, in front of Etienne, it's a pile of garbage. Didn't you say that you were very powerful? Now, get up and fight me. Etienne slowly walked over and looked at them coldly. Both of them were horrified, and they didn't know what to say. They have overestimated Etienne's cultivation, thinking that his cultivation should be above 8th layer Saint King stage, which is an overestimation. After all, when Heavenly Netherworld Divine Nation was destroyed, the Phoenix race must have contributed the most. Now it seems that they were wrong, and it was a big mistake. The one who suppressed Heavenly Netherworld Divine Nation was not the Phoenix race, but the Divine Emissary in front of them. I didn't expect that we were wrong, and completely wrong. But don't be complacent. Even if your cultivation is strong and your speed is fast, the Three Realms is still the world of our evil spirit race. Above the ancient underworld divine pagoda, what awaits you is death, and you will become our food. Their eyes were filled with fear and shock, but they didn't choose to beg for mercy. This was their backbone. They would rather die than surrender. Is that so? Then I am looking forward to fighting with your old ancestor. I want to see how much strength you have yet to display. Etienne walked over step by step. When he was about to walk in front of the two of them, suddenly, a terrifying power was released from their bodies, and they were ready to self-destruct. They didn't want to die in the hands of Etienne, so they chose to self-destruct to protect their last dignity. Unfortunately, the speed of their self-destruction was too slow, and Etienne's sword light was even faster than their self-destruction, which cut through the sky and their bodies. Their bodies stiffened, and they felt that the spiritual power in their bodies was instantly cut, accompanied by a terrible pain that rushed to their souls, burning them. No! Chapter 814. Ding! Successfully killed Missoula. Reward, 26. 2 billion EXP, 400. 000 crazy point. 18,000 SPs. Obtained evil spirit's soul, evil spirit's blood, and evil spirit's bone. Ding! Successfully killed Dimitri. Reward, 27. 5 billion EXP, 460,000 crazy point, 21,000 SPs. Obtained evil spirit's soul, evil spirit's blood, and evil spirit's bone. 50 times EXP card. After killing them, the names that appeared were completely different from how they were addressed. It was obvious that this was how they were addressed internally. On the outside, they were no different from ordinary cultivators. Of course, the names had nothing to do with him. Anyway, it was a pile of EXP for him. He couldn't let them self-destruct. Logically speaking, they should have given him EXP, but just in case, he chose to kill them quickly. The appraisal, I had always been observing their situation. Every move was in his eyes. Therefore, if they wanted to self-detonate, he would be able to stop them immediately. It was precisely because it was within his control that he didn't rush to kill them. He wanted to get some information from them, but he didn't expect them to be so stubborn and would rather die than surrender. A lot of EXP, almost half of it has been filled. I'm not far from the 9th layer of Saint King stage. Etienne was quite excited. This was the real explosive EXP. It was worth it to come here. After getting so much EXP, he finally had some motivation. If he continues like this, breaking through to the God King stage wouldn't be difficult at all. From the beginning, he knew that it wouldn't be difficult for him to break through to the God King stage. For him, it was as simple as killing. Immediately, piles of blue flames quickly floated from their corpses and drilled into his arm. Originally, there were 5 flame brands, but now they began to fill up his arm one by one. First, the 6th flame appeared, then the 7th. Even the deacon's brand appeared on his arm, indicating that he had become a deacon of the 7th layer. Originally, he wanted to climb up step by step, but who knew that these idiots greatly underestimated his cultivation? The 5 of them teamed up to deal with him. This was indeed very cautious. It's a pity that this cautiousness is still too ordinary. At least a dozen St. King stage experts teamed up to suppress him at the same time. Now, they had only sent 5 people to suppress him. They were looking down on him too much. Looks like they'll be much more cautious from now on. I wonder what tricks they'll play. Etianyan looked at the brand in his hand. It jumped to the 7th level, skipping the 6th. To him, it saved a lot of time and made things much simpler. The problem was that they would definitely be on guard in the future. The 5 of them attacking him together would definitely be known by the evil spirit race above. At that time, they would definitely be more cautious and reevaluate his strength. No matter what schemes they have, I'll just destroy them with a single punch. Etianyan sneered and lifted his foot to walk outside. At this time, the barrier has disappeared, and the cultivators outside are rushing in. Seeing that there was no one here except for Etianyan, he walked over. Look at his arm. One of them had sharp eyes and immediately saw the number of fire marks on Etianyan's arm. 7 flame marks, and he is also an administrator. Did he challenge an administrator just now? Everyone gasped. It had been 5 flame marks before, but in the blink of an eye, it had become 7 flame marks. Wasn't this speed a little too terrifying? That's true. 7 flame brands. How long has it been since he came here? Yet, he has already reached 7 flame brands. Isn't this too fast? Is he really that strong? So many people have challenged the floor master before, but they all ended up in failure or died without a trace. Not only did he succeed, but he also became an administrator. If he continues to take a step forward, won't he become an elder? They couldn't believe the scene in front of them. Something that was impossible in the past had not only happened now, but it was also happening right in front of them. Elders were indeed the peak existences here. There were no pagoda masters. No one knew why they couldn't become pagoda masters. There were so many elders, but no one could become pagoda masters. Etianyan naturally knew this. Their bloodlines weren't pure enough, so they would never be able to become pagoda masters. However, they wouldn't give up. They kept hunting the descendants of the ancient underworld godly kings and devouring them, hoping that one day they would truly become pagoda masters and control the ancient underworld divine pagoda. Etianyan didn't care about them. He lifted his feet and walked out. The group of people gave way to Etianyan. Their eyes were full of admiration, but most of them were filled with complicated expressions. They didn't know what to say. They watched as Etianyan climbed to a higher floor, and immediately after, a deafening cheer broke out from below. The position of the floor lord that had been locked for a long time was now open to everyone. They were definitely fighting to be the first. This was the position of floor master of the 5th floor. After Etianyan became an administrator, the floor master of the 5th and 4th floor were immediately vacated. Now, the moment of competition was immediately entered. Of course, it was intense. Soon, Etianyan successfully reached the 7th floor. He didn't even look at the 6th floor. He directly went to the 7th floor. When he arrived at the 7th floor, a cold voice sounded in front of him. Is he the human who killed our 3 deacons? Yes, he killed 3 deacons and 2 floor masters. However, the few of them are all trash. They can't even deal with a single human. There's not much use for them to stay alive. The people in front of them were talking, and scrupulously. Etianyan looked up and found that the people in front of him were the experts of the evil spirit race. However, they weren't deacons but the evil spirit race that was active here. They didn't hide anything. Their 6 arms were exposed, but they had the bloodline of the ancient underworld godly king's descendants in their bodies. It didn't matter if they were exposed or not. Human boy, you're really courageous. You killed our people, and you still dare to come up. The cultivation of the evil spirit race's experts varied. The lowest cultivation was above the Spirit King stage, and the highest cultivation was at the second or third layer of the Saint King stage. Etienne didn't bother to pay attention to them. After successfully reaching the 7th floor, what he saw was no longer the previous huge city, but a bloody hell. There were indeed luxurious houses all around, but there was a thick smell of blood that enveloped the entire area and even the sky. Even the sky was dark red, and the disgusting smell of blood permeated this area. Suddenly, a light flashed, and a figure fell from the sky and appeared in a pile of corpses on the side. Etienne's pupil shrank. There was a mountain of corpses in the distance, and he didn't know how many cultivators had died. He didn't expect that those dead cultivators would be teleported here. Chapter 8:15. The mountain in the distance was very conspicuous, but it wasn't a mountain made of mud, but a mountain of corpses. Some were fresh, some were not, but the environment here was extremely cold, so the corpses didn't rot. There were a lot of evil spirit races people next to the corpses. They picked up a lot of corpses and carried them back as food. After devouring the corpses, they began to increase their strength. Looking around, Etienne's appraisal eye was fully activated, covering a large area. There were no other cultivators in this area. Except for the evil spirit race, there were no other races. Etienne was an exception. He was the only one here. He guessed that no one could come up here, or if they came up here, they would be killed and become their food. They climbed up step by step, thinking that they could become elders or deacons so they could get more benefits. Who knew that what awaited them was death, or becoming the evil spirit race's food? The losers of the other levels would be transported here and become their food. There were high and low cultivation levels, but the highest cultivation level didn't exceed Spirit King stage. At most, it was Void Spirit stage. So where were the Spirit King stage corpses? Etienne guessed that they were in the 8th floor. The evil spirit race's old ancestors in the 8th floor devoured the corpses of Spirit King stage corpses, which made their cultivation progress by leaps and bounds. In the 7th floor, there were more than a dozen Saint King stage experts, which was a terrifying number. He dared to say that in the ghost world, or even in the heaven world, there was no force that could have so many Saint King stage experts at the same time. But here, there were many Saint King stage experts, and those who were above Spirit King stage were as numerous as dogs. Etienne casually probed, and there were more than 50 of them. Some were scattered in other areas, so he couldn't count them for the time being. This was not just the residents of the evil spirit race. It was simply a paradise for them. No wonder they were rarely seen outside. It turned out that they were cultivating crazily here, using the spiritual power here and the environment here to constantly devour the corpses of geniuses and high cultivation experts. After devouring the corpses, they continued to strengthen themselves. Once they rushed out, they could really cause a devastating blow. Logically speaking, rushing out should be the best choice. Why was he trapped here with no way out? Are they not allowed to go out at will? Etienne immediately thought of this. However, the scene in front of him was indeed frightening. This place was like a paradise. So many cultivators risked their lives to get here, but in the end, they became their food. Etienne threw out a crystal, which instantly enveloped the area and imprinted the situation in the crystal. This was a recording crystal. It could record the situation in the surroundings as a form of evidence. He believed that as long as this mirror image was thrown out, the entire ancient underworld divine pagoda would immediately descend into chaos and be completely shocked by the situation here. Kid, you even recorded it. Do you think you can still leave this place? Etienne was surrounded by many evil spirit race rankers. They were not deacons, so they did not have the authority to judge. However, even deacons couldn't easily put him on trial. Existences of the same level couldn't do so. If he wanted to be judged, only those of a higher level could be considered to be judged. Etienne looked at them coldly and sneered. Do you think you can stop me? Due to the restrictions of the rules, they could not attack him. Once they attacked, they would be punished immediately. Therefore, Etienne was not afraid of them at all. If someone came to challenge him, he would welcome it. He would kill as many as they came. Kid, you are really arrogant. Do you think that you are invincible here because you killed 5 of us? That's right. You're just a trash human. You were so arrogant before and thought that you could defeat us. In the end, you were still eaten by us. That's right. The flesh of such people is the most delicious. When they struggle, the taste is incomparably delicious. One by one, they laugh crazily. Etienne's achievements were nothing to them. Their eyes were even filled with contempt. Etienne didn't know where they got their courage from. How could they be so confident that they could win? Get out of the way. At this time, a shout came from the front, causing the evil spirit race people who surrounded him to move away and make way for him. Etienne looked up and saw 5 deacon-level existences in front of him, walking towards him step by step. When he thought that they were going to besiege him, the 5 of them stood to the side, forming a path for him to pass through. They were the deacons of the 7th floor. Each of their cultivation was extremely amazing. The strongest one was actually at the peak of the Saint King stage. Those who had reached this level of cultivation were only at the deacon level, not the elder level. Didn't this mean soon the answer came? A huge body appeared in front of him. It had 8 arms on its back. This was the evil spirit race with the most arms he had seen so far. It had a total of 8 arms, each of which was extremely thick, comparable to the stone pillars in the palace. Even its body was more than 30 meters tall. It was like a huge giant. With every step it took, the ground would be flattened, and even the earth would shake. This was the ancient Ming divine pagoda. Ordinary power couldn't cause any vibration, but this giant shook the ground with every step it took. The air was filled with his power. Etienne's eyes narrowed, and his heart sank. He felt a little shocked. Demon God Migo, first level of the God King stage. Each of its 8 arms has a force of 100 million gene. It can destroy heaven and earth. It has an extremely rich bloodline power of the ancient Ming God King. Its strength is far beyond that of the experts of the same level. Its martial arts are shaking heaven and earth, berserk evil spirit, and evil spirit collision. Its weakness is none, because it has the violent heavenly fire, which is enough to offset the weakness. Its current state is the strength of an elder. With the help of the elder's strength, its comprehensive combat power is 51. 5 billion in normal state. The crazy combat power of 51. 5 billion proves that the range of the God King stage cultivation is too much. It should be known that the peak of the Saint King stage cultivation is only a little more than 20 billion, and that is the full power. That was the highest record when he fought with the heavenly netherworld Holy King. Now the record has been broken again. From the peak of the Saint King stage to the first level of the God King stage, its combat power soared to 50 billion, and that is in normal state. Chapter 816. Demon God Migo, a level 1 God King stage, evil spirit race expert. The appearance of a God King evil spirit race expert was not surprising at all. There were so many resources here, and so many cultivators to devour, especially when they climbed up bit by bit. They worked so hard to improve their cultivation, but in the end, they would just become their food. Unless they chose to stop and leave when they reached the 5th or 6th floor. But would they leave? Of course not. The cultivation environment here was perfect, and there were so many resources here. They just wanted to keep moving forward, learn more martial arts, and get more treasures. Otherwise, they would definitely not leave. Cultivators had a great desire in this aspect. Unless they really encountered a dead end, they would not easily leave this place. But when they really reached the 7th floor, they would be sentenced to death. Although the deacons could not judge them, they could judge ordinary cultivators who were not at the level of a floor master. At that time, they would be like ripe fruits, waiting to be picked by the evil spirit race. God King, evil spirit race expert. This is your trump card? Etienne squinted at them. Demon God Migo walked over step by step and finally stood in front of him. His huge body looked very young, unlike those evil spirit race hiding in the mortal world, who looked old and on the verge of death. Demon God Migo was very young, like an expert in the prime of his life. Etienne knew that they were not in the prime of their life, but after breaking through to the God King evil spirit race, Their lifespan had increased by several times. Under such circumstances, they had become young again. Young human powerhouse, it's really amazing that you were able to reach the 7th floor in such a short time. You are the strongest human expert I have ever seen to reach the 7th floor in such a short time, especially at such a young age. Demon God Mi-Ge's deep voice was full of majesty, making people want to worship him. Even Tianyun could feel some pressure. The other evil spirit race people knelt down, their eyes full of fanaticism. This was their god, their leader. What? Now it's your turn to judge me. Tianyun looked him up and down, his eyes filled with fighting spirit. What he wanted to do now was to test the limits of his opponent's strength. More importantly, he wanted to gain experience and treasures. After killing him, he would definitely drop a terrifying amount of experience and a large number of treasures. Just thinking about it made him excited. Young human expert, humans do have a bit of youthful arrogance. That's not impossible. It means that you are full of sharpness, a sharp weapon. If you show off too much, you will be killed. Do you understand? Demon God Migo's tone was like a senior teaching Tianyun. He was not in a hurry to attack. The main reason was that everything was under his control. A God King stage cultivation was his greatest strength. Anyone below the Saint King stage was nothing but an ant. That's enough. Keep your disgusting words to yourself. Devouring our race, or rather, other than you, all other races are your food. Do you think you're qualified to teach me now? Tianyun sneered. You lowly human. How dare you speak to Elder Migo in such a tone? Immediately, a deacon pointed at him angrily. So, what if I say it? If you want to devour our race, don't use such a disgusting tone to teach others. Pretending to be dignified will only make people feel disgusted. Don't talk nonsense. If you want to fight, then fight. What's the point of talking nonsense? Tianyun sneered. I almost forgot. You all have been pretending to be like this to survive. If you are exposed outside, you will be hostile. After pretending for a long time, you will naturally be disgusted. After saying so much, in the end, he still wanted to devour them. What was the point of pretending to be serious? Impudent! Demon God Migo was furious, and he snorted coldly at Tianyun. A terrifying force descended from the sky, and it was as if the force of trillions of forces was pressing down on Tianyun, forcing him to kneel on the ground. But when this terrifying force pressed down, Tianyun did not feel it at all. He just stood there easily. It was undeniable that Demon God Migo was very powerful, but he did not feel any pressure at all. The Evil Spirit set and the Ancient Desolate set were two heaven-defying equipment. Even if he was facing a God King stage cultivator, he would not feel any fear, especially when the opponent was only at the 1st level of the God King stage. If the opponent was at the 3rd or 4th level of the God King stage, Tianyun would be a little afraid. Is this your power? Tianyun looked at him motionlessly. His clothes didn't even wrinkle a bit. The evil spirit race on the side widened their eyes. If it were them, they would have already knelt down and worshipped him. They could not even stand up. Tianyun felt like he had just been blown by a gust of wind. He only felt a few traces of coolness, and he was not hurt at all. You do have some extraordinary abilities. Demon God Migo's eyes were filled with killing intent. Do you know why I am not in a hurry to kill you? Although your strength is not bad. In this ancient underworld divine pagoda, I can use most of the power, including my own strength. Killing you is like killing an ant. You want me to stay, just like the others. You want me to sign a slave contract so that you can control me and mix with the human forces outside, right? Tianyun shook his head and said, You don't have a sense of novelty at all. Do you think that everyone will be willing to work for you? It seems that there is nothing more to say. I thought that our cooperation would be very pleasant. In that case, you will become my food. A light flashed in Demon God Migo's hand, and the next moment, a huge magic wand appeared in his hand. It was more than 30 meters long, but it was still a low-grade divine artifact. It just looked bigger. He pressed it hard on the ground, and a loud dong sound spread out. At the same time, his cold voice sounded, Judgment. In an instant, a huge shield enveloped the two of them. The evil spirit race on the side was immediately repelled by the shield, and they quickly retreated until they did not touch the shield. Arrogant human, I will give you a chance to attack me. I will let you die in fear. Demon God Migo looked down at Etionyun from above. With such a huge body, he looked at the small body of Etionyun as if he was looking at an ant. He wanted to use absolute power to suppress Etionyun and let Etionyun know how weak he was. In fear of death, Etionyun sneered. It has always been me who will let people die in fear, but no one will let me die in fear. Transform into evil spirits. Chapter 8:17. The evil spirit's transformation not only allowed him to become bigger, but more importantly, it could become a long-range attack, but the difference between becoming bigger and smaller was not particularly big. His combat power would not increase just because he became bigger, but the effect would be extremely amazing when he massacred a city. But now he did not need to do this, he just wanted to suppress this group of trash with the most overbearing power. Sword! Etionyun waved his hand, and the evil spirit divine sword quickly became bigger. As a divine weapon, it was not difficult to become bigger. The same was true for the magic wand held by the other party. Both could become bigger and smaller, but there was a limit to how big or small it could become. After holding the huge, evil spirit divine sword tightly, Etionyun did not hesitate to slash at Demon God Migo, and a black light burst out from his dark eyes. Flame explosion, evil spirit slash. The immortal fire immediately broke out to the extreme, released from the evil spirit divine sword. And at the same time, equipped with the desolate ancient set on his body, a faint yellow light burst out, superimposed on his body, and his combat power broke out in a straight line. 20 billion combat power, 30 billion combat power, 40 billion combat power, 70 billion combat power, 88 billion combat power. This time, his fierce attack reached 88 billion combat power, and the space was about to be crushed by his power. After facing so many opponents, finally, there was someone who could make him burst out most of his power. A long time ago, when his cultivation was at the first level of the Saint King stage, he could burst out almost 40 billion combat power, and now that he broke through to the 8th level of the Saint King stage, his combat power has doubled. If it were any other cultivator, it would be unimaginable. One must know that when the heavenly netherworld Holy King was at the peak of the Saint King stage, he only had 20 to 30 billion combat power, and now he had almost 90 billion combat power. This was all due to the eruption of his basic cultivation, coupled with the superimposition of the evil spirit set, instantly surpassing Demon God Migo's ordinary combat power. When Etionyun burst out his power, Demon God Migo was already vigilant, and he knew that the evil spirits that had become so huge must not be simple. But when the real attack came, he immediately felt a terrible sense of death, as if he was half a step into death, shaking heaven and earth. Demon God Migo didn't just sit there and wait for death. He waved his wand and smashed it forward with his 8 arms, causing the surrounding space to tremble. Space rippled like water and began to fluctuate layer by layer. Even though the space here was very stable, under this overbearing power, the world began to tremble. He did not use 8 weapons. He just gripped the wand tightly. 1 wand was enough. His battle power went from 50 billion to almost 80 billion in an instant. The sword and the staff collided in an instant. Boom! A terrifying force erupted from the center of their attacks and instantly slammed into the thick shield. Pa pa pa, sounds of bombardment could be heard. It seemed like the shield would shatter at any time. The barrier here was not omnipotent. If it exceeded its limit, it would still explode. Even if it was a punishment, experts at the God King stage would be able to withstand the punishment. As for how strong they were to withstand it, it was unknown whether they had experienced it or not. The experts of the evil spirit race who were closer to the shield were all sent flying by this force. Even with the shield, there was still a terrifying force leaking out from inside. Those evil spirit races that were sent flying were actually severely injured, and some were even killed. The terrifying force made them gasp. They all ran far away, not daring to come any closer. If they were to get close, they would either be seriously injured or die. This scared them so much that they ran away in a hurry. How would they dare to come close? This power is too terrifying. Is that human really that strong? They were shocked. They thought that their old ancestor would suppress Etion with absolute power. Who knew that the power that erupted out now would make them feel terrified? After the explosion, the two huge figures were still standing there, but Etion was unscathed. Demon god Migo was severely injured. There were traces of fire on his body, and some parts of his body had even turned into desertification and started to dry up. After the first fierce clash, Demon god Migo actually lost. This situation shocked them. The god that they worshipped the most lost to a human just like that, and it looked like he suffered a heavy loss. You haven't even broken through to the God King stage. How can you be so strong? Demon god Migo was scared out of his wits. He became like this because he was too hasty and wasn't prepared. After Etion grew bigger, he immediately grabbed the evil spirit sword and slashed down without any hesitation. The whole process was completed in less than a second. If Demon god Migo was prepared, he wouldn't be so miserable. Too much nonsense. Etion continued to swing the evil spirit sword and slash forward, trying to cut Demon god Migo into two. Another flame explosion, evil spirit slash burst out, and a monstrous, inextinguishable flame fell from the sky, sprinkling over the area, and everywhere it went was lit up by the inextinguishable flame. Ancient underworld divine power. Demon god Migo roared, and a blue divine light descended from the sky, enveloping his body. In the blink of an eye, the wounds on his body quickly healed, and his power began to increase rapidly, and layers of heavenly flame enveloped his body. An illusory figure began to appear behind him. It was completely in the form of a human, not the form of the evil spirit race. At the same time, a godly king's prestige was released, and gradually the shadow began to condense. The most obvious thing was that there was a flame on its forehead. This flame was undoubtedly the characteristic of the ancient underworld descendant, but the shadow that appeared was clearly not the ancient underworld descendant, but the power of the ancient underworld godly king. Unexpectedly, the ancient underworld godly king left his divine sense here, so that the elders could use his power to suppress everything. The ironic thing was that this power was not used to suppress the evil spirit race, but to suppress its own race. Most importantly, the user was from the evil spirit race. If the ancient underworld godly king was here, he would definitely vomit blood. With this power, not only did his injuries recover rapidly, his combat power also soared. 80 billion, 85 billion, 90 billion, 93 billion. Chapter 8:18. Stupid human race, do you think that's all we have? Too naive. This is just the beginning. Feel the power of the ancient underworld deity king. Immediately after, demon god Migo waved the magic wand in his hand, and the power of the phantom behind him quickly merged. With a swoosh, the heavenly fire burned to the extreme and swept over, trying to freeze everything. Evil spirit rampage, shake the heavens and earth. With the support of two powers, under the effect of evil spirit rampage, his own bloodline power immediately erupted, and once again increased his combat power from 93 billion to 98 billion, easily increasing his combat power by 5 billion. At this time, his combat power increased as if it didn't cost money. When one's cultivation was strong, he was so overbearing. The power that he casually erupted was far beyond the level of a lower cultivation. With a battle power of 98 billion, he fiercely smashed it into the air. Dong, dong, dong. It was as if he had knocked on an invisible shield, sending out layers and layers of vibrating power. Compared to the hurried counterattack before, the power had greatly increased, as if two different experts had displayed it. Etion's eyes narrowed. When the staff was about to smash down, he took out a pitch-black light ball and gently threw it forward. Then, a light enveloped him, forming a thick shield. This is? When demon god Migo saw this thing, he was shocked, but he continued to attack. Bang! The shield only shook a little, and cracks appeared on it, but it didn't shatter. Such an overbearing move actually didn't shatter the shield. It was unbelievably hard. Not only did it not shatter, but a terrifying power rebounded and sent demon god Migo flying. He almost lost his grip on the magic wand in his hand. At the moment when he was rebounded, a cold light flashed in Yi Tianyun's eyes, and the evil spirit divine sword in his hand exploded to the extreme. In an instant, it turned into a cold light and outlined a half-moon. There was also a blood dragon in it. It whizzed forward and pierced through demon god Migo's body. Flash Moon. This time, he added the power of the dragon god bloodline, and his strength instantly increased by dozens of times, reaching a terrifying value. At the same time, his speed also exploded to the extreme. Before his opponent could react, the sword had already completed. Like a flash of moonlight, it entered the other party's body just like that. How did you get the heaven-devouring divine treasure? Demon god Migo was shocked. He recognized at a glance that it was the heaven-devouring divine treasure that had blocked his attack. This was their supreme treasure, yet it had landed in the hands of a human. What do you think? Yi Tianyun revealed a mocking expression. As for how he got it, let them guess. However, this point was very easy to guess. Only by dying would the heaven-devouring divine treasure fall into the hands of others. Such an easy-to-understand question. Demon god Migo's body shook, and then it split into two halves, falling to the ground. Boom! It was as if a huge mountain had collapsed. With a loud bang, a huge pillar of blood shot out in all directions. A rain of blood fell from the sky, dyeing a large area red. The huge body had a lot of blood, and it quickly dyed the area red. Ding! Successfully killed demon god Migo. Reward: 91 billion EXP. 5 million crazy point. 250,000 SBS. Reward: Evil Spirit Wand, Low-Grade Divine Tool. Evil Spirit Bracelet, Low-Grade Divine Tool. Evil Spirit Ring, Low-Grade Divine Tool. Evil Spirit Bone. Evil Spirit Soul. Evil Spirit Blood. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Tianyun for successfully breaking through to 9th layer Saint King stage. An explosive amount of experience. His base value had actually reached 500 million experience points. The moment Yi Tianyun killed Demon God Migo, he immediately used a 100-fold EXP card and a 50-fold EXP card, plus 32 times the base value, reaching a terrifying 182 times the base value. Yi Tianyun knew that the EXP must be a lot, so he must exchange it for a 100-fold EXP card. Sure enough, the experience reward was quite shocking. It was almost 100 billion. Just thinking about it made him tremble. After using the heaven-devouring divine treasure, Demon God Migo was easily suppressed. He didn't even need to use his full strength to kill Demon God Migo. Although his combat power didn't exceed Demon God Migo in the end, it doesn't mean that he can't kill Demon God Migo. Combat power is just an evaluation. It doesn't mean that his attack can't hurt Demon God Migo. It's like a child holding a knife can still kill a strong cultivator. The premise is that the strong cultivator won't resist, so he can still kill him with a knife. Yi Tianyun isn't a child. The gap between the two isn't very big. When he used the heaven-devouring divine treasure to reflect Demon God Miji's attack, he immediately took advantage of the gap to counterattack. This is his plan. The result is obvious. He easily killed Demon God Migo. A God King stage expert was also killed by him. Fortunately, he has a lot of equipment and crazy damage system, otherwise he would really be crushed. This kind of damage was too terrifying. It was almost as high as 100 billion combat power. 100 Saint King stage masters couldn't even suppress a single God King stage master. Lord Migo is dead. All of them were dumbfounded. They couldn't imagine that the god they worshipped would die just like that. Even with the power of the ancient Ming divine pagoda, Migo was still cut in half. After Demon God Migo died, the flame brand quickly drilled into Yi Tianyun's arm and condensed into a flame brand on his arm. This means that he killed his way to the 8th floor in one go and also became an elder. He just came to the 7th floor not long ago, But he can already enter the 8th floor. This speed is simply terrifying. To achieve this goal, the price to pay is not small. If not for Etienne's strength is a bit stronger, he will really die here. Judgment. Etienne's eyes narrowed, and the 5 deacons in front of him were shrouded in the judgment shield before the 5 deacons came back to their senses. After becoming an elder, the scope of the judgment shield has increased, and the key is that the number of the judgment shield has been refreshed and more people can be judged. A bunch of trash, go to hell! Etienne raised the evil spirit divine sword and swung it at the 5 deacons. The 5 deacons didn't even have time to react before they were engulfed by the flame. They didn't even have time to scream before they turned into a pile of sand. Ding! Successfully killed me, gained 23. 6 billion EXP, 250,000 crazy point, 15,000 SBS, obtained evil spirit blood, evil spirit soul, evil spirit bone. Obtained evil spirit divine sword. 50 times EXP card. Ding! Successfully killed me, gained 24. 6 billion EXP, 280,000 crazy point. Ding! Successfully killed. The 5 deacons exploded a lot of experience, and with this amazing experience, Etienne's level rose again. Chapter 819. In a short period of time, he had advanced 2 levels in a row, reaching the peak of the Saint King stage, and was only 1 step away from the God King stage. This was the reason why he decisively used the experience card. There were so many fat sheep here. How could he let them go? All 5 deacons were at least Saint King stage 8th or 9th layer. So after killing them, Yang Kai's EXP immediately skyrocketed. The result was obvious. It allowed him to level up easily, over 100 billion experience points. If he still couldn't level up after all that, it would really be strange. Although it was difficult to advance to the late Saint King stage, it wasn't that difficult, especially when it was stacked with hundreds of billions. Leveling up would not be a problem. Finally successfully promoted to the peak Saint King stage, Etienne was excited. As long as he took another step forward, he would be able to break through to the God King stage. Once he reached the God King stage, coupled with the crazy damage mode, even if the evil spirit race that was suppressed in the mortal world came out, he would still have the strength to fight. At the very least, he wouldn't be so helpless and defenseless. 500 billion to level up? What's going on? Etienne was stunned when he saw the long string of zeros on the EXP bar. The first few stages required 10 billion Saint King stage cultivators. Even the 9th stage of the Saint King stage only required 100 billion Saint King stage cultivators. When preparing to break through to the God King stage, they would need 500 billion Saint King stage cultivators. Wasn't the experience required a little too much? It multiplied several times in one go. This reminded him of a normal cultivator's cultivation. At this level, it was extremely easy to get stuck at a bottleneck if one wanted to break through to the next realm. For Etienne, this was not a bottleneck. He just had to slowly accumulate. As long as he reached a certain standard, he would be able to break through. It was just that the process was much more difficult than before. Judgment. Etienne's eyes flashed. The light of judgment immediately enveloped the surrounding evil spirit race, picking the ones with the highest cultivation. In the blink of an eye, it enveloped 5 Saint King stage cultivators, and with another slash, 5 more corpses fell to the ground and quickly turned into a pile of sand. It was easily slashed down by the sword, and it turned into piles of experience that immediately filled him to the brim with close to 100 billion experience. Killing them was so refreshing, and the experience gained was also not low. This scene scared them so much that they all ran away, not daring to come any closer. However, Etienne stopped and didn't continue to attack. It wasn't that he didn't want to kill them, but in his heart, he wanted to kill them all. However, he only had 10 trials. If he wanted a new trial, he would have to do it as early as next month. That way, he could also increase the number of trials. However, if he used up 1 flame brand at a time, he would basically fall from his position as an elder. This was obviously not worth it. Etienne would never do such a thing. How terrifying! His cultivation is at the Divine King realm? What other explanation can there be? He killed old ancestor Miga. What treasure was that just now? It seems to be our heaven-devouring divine treasure. How did our heaven-devouring divine treasure fall into his hands? Yes, the heaven-devouring divine treasure should be in the hands of an ancestor in the mortal world. We can't go up, and they can't come down. They all hid far away, but most of them knew why Tianyun didn't continue to attack. Since he had used up the number of trials, he definitely couldn't attack casually. They didn't think that Tianyun could resist the power of punishment. No one dared to try the suppressive power of the ancient Ming divine pagoda. Anyway, those who had tried were already dead. They, the elders, didn't dare to try it casually. Tianyun indeed didn't dare to try it casually. The power of the ancient Ming divine pagoda was very strong, and the power of punishment was not that easy to resist. Unless he broke through to the divine king stage, he would try it. He glanced at the crowd and lifted his foot to go up to the 8th floor. There was no point in continuing to stay here. There was only one way to get rid of all these rubbish, and that was to become the pagoda master. As the pagoda master, he still couldn't drive people out at will, but he could change a lot of situations, especially in terms of rules. He had greatly increased the power of detecting the bloodline of the evil spirit race. Once he detected the bloodline of the evil spirit race, the result could be imagined. The ancient Ming divine pagoda would immediately send a terrifying heavenly punishment and sweep the evil spirit race out. When he stepped on the stairs to the 8th floor, he didn't even go up when he felt a terrifying aura coming from above. The extremely oppressive power was a little frightening. He could even smell a bloody smell coming from above. He could imagine that it was definitely a terrifying purgatory above. As he walked up step by step, he could smell the thick stench of blood assaulting his nostrils. The pressure here was not as strong. It wasn't like below, where there was a terrifying sense of pressure. It was as if a force of 1 trillion kilograms was pressing on one's shoulder, so much so that one couldn't even walk. On the contrary, it was all cleared up here, and he could easily climb up. It was no different from walking normally. Under such circumstances, he should be qualified to reach the 8th floor, so there was no need to go through this kind of training. To be exact, this kind of training was no longer necessary. Soon, he arrived at the 8th floor. What he saw was not a bloody hell. There was no trace of blood around. It looked clean and even beautiful. What appeared in front of him was a huge garden. There were no traces of blood or even half a corpse. When he just stepped on the 8th floor, a few murderous eyes pierced through him, as if they wanted to pierce through him completely. Tianyun looked up and saw 2 experts of the evil spirit race were soaking in the blood pool, looking at him coldly. The smell of blood wafted out from this blood pool. This thick blood was mixed with the blood essence of countless cultivators to fill this blood pool. The key was that this blood essence was definitely not ordinary blood essence. It was the blood essence of those cultivators with amazing talent or special bloodlines. He could even smell the blood essence of the Phoenix clan and the Dragon clan mixed in it. His eyes narrowed. The cultivation of the 2 experts of the evil spirit race was not beyond his expectation. They were at level 2 or level 3 of the God King stage. One of them was at level 3, and the other was at level 2. The one who went down to deal with him was the weakest one. He didn't expect there to be 3 God King stage experts here. If he went out, wouldn't he be in trouble? But they didn't go out, which made him very curious. It was very likely that they couldn't go out. The cultivation of the God King stage was very strong, but it didn't mean that they were invincible. The ancient Ming Divine Pagoda was specially designed to suppress them. Therefore, even if they broke through to the God King stage, they might not be able to go out. Chapter 820. There are many cultivators serving them here. All of them are from different races. Obviously, they have signed a slave contract. They are afraid of death, so they finally chose to become their dogs. Tianyun did not say much about their choice. Everyone has their own choice. But sometimes they choose the wrong side, so it has nothing to do with him. None of the cultivators serving them had 8 flame imprints. Some of them only had 1 flame imprint. This is the privilege of elders. No matter how many flame brands they have, they can come in whenever they are summoned. This is like the Imperial Palace. Ordinary people cannot come in, But if the Emperor summons them, they can come in. These elders are like this. You can summon them to serve you. It is impossible to give them 8 flame brands in order to be served, right? Once you have 8 flame brands, you're already an elder. There is no other position to speak of. However, if one wanted to obtain 8 flame brands, they would have to kill many opponents with 7 flame brands. It was no longer as simple as killing 10 people. Instead, they would have to kill as many as 50 people. The 7th floor is full of evil spirit race. They will not kill each other, so the number of elders is fixed, that is 3 people. Without the cultivation of God King, there is no way to become an elder. If you want to control this area, you must have the cultivation of God King. Even if you have 8 flame brands, you will still not become an elder. Me good that idiot, he is too careless, really annoying. Demon God Swote's tone is full of disdain. He does not feel sad because of his companion's death. Instead, he feels a bit disdainful. The weak are never worthy of sympathy. Dead is weak. Even their companion is too lazy to care. In their opinion, it is stupid, so a human climbed to the 8th floor to be on equal footing with them. Heaven-devouring divine treasure. Your ability is not small. Seems like you came from the mortal world. Seems like those old guys in the mortal world were killed by you. The other is Swote. He is the strongest existence, God King 3rd level. Their battle power is basically off the charts. Among them, Swote's battle power is 68 billion, more than 10 billion more than Demon God Swote. This was the difference in cultivation. Advancing by 1 level would increase his battle power by more than 10 billion. It was the same for Suge. His battle power had reached more than 80 billion, which was another 10 billion. Didn't this mean that the combat power of a peak God King stage expert had reached 1 or 200 billion? Tianyin could imagine the power that could destroy the heavens and extinguish the earth, suppressing a person with a flip of his hand. So what if I did? And so what if I didn't? Tianyin walked over fearlessly. The cultivators beside him looked at him, their eyes filled with surprise and admiration. Facing 2 terrifying demon gods, the only person who could remain so calm was this young man in front of them. It's nothing. I just feel that it's a little too useless for them to be killed just like that. Demon God Sog looked at him indifferently. His expression was so calm that he did not look angry at all. You think that just because you killed Demon God Mig, you have the qualifications to challenge us? Tianyin looked at them coldly and said, so what if I did? And so what if I didn't? Demon God Sog sat up and said indifferently, it seems that we haven't been out for a long time. Your 3 realms really think that you are invincible? If you have the ability, why don't you go out now? Tianyin said disdainfully. It seems that you can't go out at all. That's why you keep devouring the descendants of the ancient underworld God King to replenish your bloodline power. Controlling the ancient underworld divine pagoda is one thing. The key is to leave this place. It's a pity that you can save your own lives, but you can't leave this place. You are like dogs that are locked up here, waiting for death. Let me tell you something. No matter how much you devour the bloodline of the descendants of the ancient underworld God King, you can't leave this place. You will be suppressed here for the rest of your lives, and you won't be able to leave this place. Don't you think so? A bunch of fools who wanted to break in from the outside world, but got devoured by the ancient underworld divine pagoda. After coming here, he roughly knew what was going on. Their cultivations were so strong. Why didn't they go out to stir up trouble and control the 3 realms? To a large extent, it was because they couldn't leave this place. If they could leave, they could slowly control the ancient underworld divine pagoda. The problem was that they weren't hiding here, but they couldn't escape. They weren't the evil spirit race that was hiding in some corner. They were simply reinforcements that came from the outside world. It was just that they were immediately devoured by the ancient underworld divine pagoda. The strong ones couldn't be killed, so they could only choose to be sealed here. The ancient underworld divine pagoda wasn't invincible. It was very difficult to suppress a God King cultivator. Even a high-grade divine artifact wouldn't be able to do so. It was already very good to be able to suppress it. It was unknown why they were able to leave and walk freely in this area. The ancient underworld divine kingdom was powerful, But how could they withstand the God King evil spirit race that had been released? This made Etienne's heart sink. It seemed that the evil spirit race had sent people to attack. It wasn't that they hadn't arrived, but that they had already arrived. However, if there was no news for a long time, it was very likely that they would send more experts over. Suoji's eyes were filled with killing intent. Kid, it seems that you know a lot. Sometimes it's not a good thing to know too much. But do you think that we can't deal with you? I don't doubt that you don't have a way to deal with me. Since you have a way to deal with me, then go ahead and challenge me. How about you challenge me like your demon god Miga? I'm more than happy to fight with you. Etienne sneered. He wasn't afraid at all. He was also an elder, so it was impossible for him to judge him. It was difficult to deal with two God King cultivators, but if he only had to deal with one, he could still handle it. Although his combat power was a bit heaven-defying, it wasn't like he didn't have a chance. Fight with you? So Go waved his hand and said disdainfully, do you know what's the greatest pleasure of punishing someone? That's dying in the treasure of your own people. At this time, both of them stood up from the blood pool and quickly made a hand seal with their 8 arms. A ray of light quickly enveloped Etienne and wrapped him tightly. Etienne stretched out his hand and slapped it. Bang! It was as if he had slapped a thick iron block. Swoosh! In the blink of an eye, he disappeared, and no one knew where he had been teleported to. Both of them sat back in the blood pool and said leisurely, let them carefully feel what it feels like to be sealed in this place. Chapter 8:21. Etienne felt that he was being teleported to a strange place. He did not struggle when he was being teleported. It was easy to avoid this teleportation. He could just teleport away from the light wall. However, he did not choose to do so. He wanted to see where they wanted to teleport him to. As soon as he appeared, he felt a terrifying force coming from the sky. He quickly pulled out the evil spirit divine sword to block it. Boom! The terrifying force blasted him away. The overbearing force almost broke his wrist. The terrifying force was no less than a full blow from a level 1 God King. Because it was too sudden, his arm was almost broken. Although it was not broken, it was immediately covered with blood. It looked very terrifying. However, this was not the end. Another boom sound rang out, and a bolt of divine lightning struck down from the sky, wanting to strike him to death. Etienne quickly threw out the heaven-devouring divine treasure and covered himself. At this time, a divine lightning struck down heavily on the shield. Boom! A faint crack appeared on the shield. It could still withstand it, but in the next moment, the divine lightning could not strike down. It was not that the heaven-devouring divine treasure's defense was too strong. It was just that the heaven-devouring divine treasure could block all detection. The divine lightning temporarily lost its target, so it could not strike down. How could it strike down when there was no one around? The heaven-devouring divine treasure was so heaven-defying. Otherwise, it would not be able to deceive the spiritual sense of a God King. It was also suitable here. It could deceive the divine lightning here, so it would not be attacked crazily. After a while, he quickly took out the longevity necklace and started to heal the injury on his arm. His recovery speed was already amazing. With the help of the longevity necklace, his recovery speed was even more amazing. In a short while, he had almost recovered. During the recovery, Etienne looked around. The sky was filled with dark clouds. Terrifying divine lightning flashed above it. It seemed like it would strike down at any time. There were countless craters on the ground. Obviously, it was caused by the explosion caused by the divine lightning. There was a huge crater at the place where he had blocked. This was comparable to the power of an early God King. If he was a little weaker, he would have been turned into ashes. What a terrifying place. Looks like it should be an area specially used to kill evil spirit race. Etienne narrowed his eyes and looked around. He wasn't really afraid. No wonder they said that the most refreshing thing was to be killed by the treasures of their own people. Wasn't this the place they were talking about? The ancient underworld divine king had nothing to do with him, but in theory, they were both people of the 3 realms. It was originally used to kill the evil spirit race, but now it was used to kill him. Wasn't this putting the cart before the horse? When he looked off into the distance, he discovered that there was a figure sitting in meditation in a corner of a certain area. The figure was surrounded by divine marks and was doing his best to defend against the endless bolts of lightning. Again and again, the man tried to resist, but it seemed like he couldn't hold on much longer. His whole body was covered in blood. He tossed out all sorts of treasures to block the heavenly lightning. There were many broken saint artifacts around him. Right now, he was wielding a divine artifact, and with the inscribed divine runes, he was able to withstand the heavenly lightning. Could he be Fan Shueishuan's father? The king of the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom. Yi Tianyan narrowed his eyes. Although the person in the distance was covered in blood, he could still clearly see the outline of his face. He hadn't seen Fan Shueishuan's father along the way. It was very likely that the person in front of him was Fan Shueishuan's father. The key was that he didn't look like a human, nor was he from the evil spirit race, which proved that he wasn't an enemy. He quickly flew over. Under the protection of the heaven-devouring divine treasure, he was able to block the heavenly lightning. It had to be said that this treasure was really powerful. It could even deceive a high-grade divine artifact. However, if he couldn't replenish his spiritual energy, he wouldn't be able to maintain the heaven-devouring divine treasure. Activating the heaven-devouring divine treasure now consumed an astonishing amount of spiritual energy. If he couldn't replenish it, he wouldn't be able to last for too long. At most, he could last for 10 days to half a month. Any longer, and he wouldn't be able to do anything. Yi Tianyan wasn't really invincible. Without spiritual energy replenishment, he would eventually be exhausted to death. Soon, he came to the person's side. The person also noticed the situation on Yi Tianyan's side, but he couldn't divert his attention to talk to him, especially now that he was seriously injured. Yi Tianyan looked at him up and down, and detailed data immediately appeared in front of him. Fan Hongda, Peak Saint King stage cultivation, has the bloodline of the ancient netherworld god king. There was no need to look at the information on this person. The first 2 paragraphs were enough. In any case, Yi Tianyan didn't intend to fight with him. Don't resist. After Yi Tianyan approached, he quickly waved the heaven-devouring divine treasure to cover Fan Hongda. Fan Hongda didn't resist and let the shield of the heaven-devouring divine treasure cover him. At the same time, he withstood a heavenly lightning. After that, not a single heavenly lightning fell from the sky. Don't talk, hurry up and restore your body. Yi Tianyan motioned him to sit down and meditate to recover. Fan Hongda looked at Yi Tianyan for a second, then immediately nodded and meditated to recover from his injuries. He was really seriously injured. If Yi Tianyan was a little slower, he would have died here. Yi Tianyan didn't stay idle. He released life force and combined it with the longevity set. The surging life force continuously drilled into Fan Hongda's body to help him recover from his injuries. Fan Hongda's eyelids twitched, but he didn't open his eyes and continued to recover from his injuries. With the help of this surging life force, his recovery ability was greatly improved. No matter why the life force was so strong, no matter how Yi Tianyan came in, as long as there was no hostility, it was fine. As time passed, after Fan Hongda recovered a little, he opened his eyes. Yi Tianyan opened his eyes at the same time, and the two of them looked at each other. Thank you for your help, friend. It seems that you were also thrown into the heavenly lightning space by those beasts. Fan Hongda hurriedly said gratefully. Heavenly lightning space, Yi Tianyan said with a smile. I believe you are the ruler of the heavenly netherworld divine nation. Fan Hongda was startled. Then he frowned and said, Friend, how did you see that? He didn't deny it. Anyway, the two of them appeared in the heavenly lightning space so they could be considered to have gone through thick and thin together. They even saved him previously. If it wasn't for Yi Tianyan, he would have definitely died if he had continued. He didn't think that Yi Tianyan was sent by the evil spirit race. After all, there was no point in this, and it was impossible to get any information out of him. Chapter 8:22. My daughter. Fan Hongda was stunned at first. Then he grabbed Yi Tianyan and said in shock, You see my daughter? Where did you see her? He did not think that Yi Tianyan had captured his daughter. If he had, how could she still be here? He had only sensed danger. Then he realized that he had been too impulsive, so he slowly let go and said awkwardly, "I'm sorry, I was too nervous." "Friend, where did you see my daughter? Was she in the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda or outside?" "Inside the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda," Tianyun answered honestly. "How could this be?" Fan Hongda was stunned. He clenched his fists and said angrily, "What's going on? You promised to wait for my news. Why did you let Xiao Shui do this?" This was the territory of the evil spirit race. Entering casually was tantamount to courting death. Because she had waited for too long and thought that you had been killed in there. That's why she barged in to look for you. Tianyun said indifferently, "Now, it's not just your daughter, but also your elders. They have all rushed in and are preparing to launch an all-out attack. They plan to start from the bottom, then move up layer by layer. They want to become the floor master of each floor." "How did you know?" Fan Hongda was surprised. "Did you discuss this with them?" Then Tianyun roughly explained the situation. Fan Hongda was dumbfounded. What shocked him was not his daughter's plan, nor was it Tianyun's true identity. What shocked him was that he had killed his way to the 8th floor in such a short time. This was the most unbelievable part. "Brother E, this is unbelievable. You actually killed your way to the 8th floor in such a short time," Fan Hongda said in shock. Even the elders who were originally here took a long time to rush up from below. "Monarch Fan, why exactly are you trapped here? Are you the same as me? Did you come directly to the 8th floor, and then you were forced to come here?" Tianyun said with a smile. Fan Hongda didn't expect Tianyun to still be able to laugh at a time like this. Continuing to stay here was no different from dying. "No, when I first became the floor master of the 5th floor, I was forcefully sent here by them. Due to my uniqueness, they couldn't forcibly put me on trial. They could only choose to punish me and send me here by force. 2 elders can send anyone other than the pagoda master here for punishment." Fan Hongda felt very helpless. This was the rule that had always been set. 1 elder might not be able to make the decision, but 2 elders could forcefully send someone here. This meant that they could not allow 1 person to dominate. If anyone was unreasonable, they could forcefully send them in for punishment. "Do you know how to get out?" Tianyun asked. "If I want to leave, I'll have to tear open the space here." Fan Hongda laughed bitterly. "I am simply unable to do this." When those fellows were locked in, many evil spirit races died. However, 2 powerful deity king-level evil spirit race forcibly tore open the space here and brought a group of companions out. At that time, we were all dumbfounded. This is the punishment space. How could it be torn open? It can only be said that their ability is beyond the imagination of our ancestors. So powerful that even the area set up by the ancient underworld deity king was torn open? Tianyun squinted his eyes. This was indeed a bit unexpected, but also reasonable. The evil spirit race came from the outside world, and they all had terrifying martial arts and all kinds of amazing treasures. It was not surprising that they could forcibly tear open the space here. The heaven-creating divine king and the others were very powerful, but it did not mean that they were absolutely invincible. Therefore, it was not a problem for someone to break their defense. That's right. Fortunately, after they came out, they were restricted by the rules and could not carry out a crazy slaughter, but they could devour us bit by bit. We were forced to escape from here, or else we would be the ones dying in the end. Fan Hongda shook his head and sighed. We really wasted the things left by our ancestors. Not only did we fail to suppress them, but we also fell into a difficult situation. When they came out, they were not suppressed by the ancient underworld divine pagoda. Tianyun frowned. This was the most important point. Of course they were suppressed. The evil spirit race that came out was suppressed one after another. They were either thrown back into the Sky Thunder space or killed by the Sky Thunder directly. However, many of them were saved. Those guys have the thing in your hand that can resist the Sky Thunder. They followed them to devour our people, and then the ancient underworld divine pagoda did not attack them. Fan Hongda said. It's the bloodline, Tianyun said in a deep voice. After they devour the bloodline, they will turn it into their own, and they can deceive the ancient underworld divine pagoda. The ancient underworld divine pagoda does not have a weapon spirit, so it can only be in a passive state. Yes, it's the bloodline. We knew this before, but we did not expect it to be so powerful. As long as it touches a little, the ancient underworld divine pagoda will not be able to attack, and it will treat you as one of its own. Fan Hong decided it's useless to say anything now. We can't tear open this space to get out. The original exit has long been repaired, so we can only stay here. It's all right, I will bring you out, Tianyun said with a faint smile. You can get out, but the seal here... Fan Honda could see from Tianyun's eyes that he was full of confidence, which meant that this was not a problem at all. That is not a problem. The problem is how to take back the entire ancient underworld divine pagoda after we get out. That is the key. Otherwise, even if we escape, it will be meaningless. Even if I become an elder, I will not be able to forcefully fight with them. Tianyun shook his head. The rules were so disgusting. He was an elder, but if he wanted to challenge these elders, they could refuse to fight. At that time, they would forcefully teleport them back into the sky thunder space. It was simply too disgusting. There's a way, Fan Honda said in a deep voice. This kind of punishment cannot be used immediately. It will take some time before it can be used again. After we get out, you can bring me to the Pagoda Master region on the 8th level and forcefully take the Pagoda Master test. If I pass, then I will become the new Pagoda Master, and I will be able to mobilize the power here to get rid of them. Tianyun's eyes lit up. This was exactly what he needed. But you don't seem to have reached the level of an elder. Can you take the test? Tianyun looked at the flame brand on his arm. He did not even have 8 flame brands. Clearly, he did not meet the standard. This is not a problem. As long as I release the flame brands that I have stored, it will be enough. Fan Honda gently waved his hand, and a flame immediately appeared on his forehead. Then, a flame brand started to appear on his arm, filling up to 8 in one go. Chapter 8:23. Tianyun saw him easily fill the 8 flames, which meant that Fan Honda had become an elder. Obviously, he wanted to keep a low profile, but who knew he would still be caught? To become a floor master, how could he keep a low profile? He would definitely be caught. If that's the case, wouldn't we be 2 elders? Tianyun smiled and said, Can we throw them in here? Fan Honda's eyes lit up and said in surprise, I almost forgot this is not a problem. As long as there are 2 elders, we can forcefully throw one of them in here. Maybe we can't kill them, but at least we can trap one of them. Even if they recover, they won't be able to punish us. Very good. Let them experience the feeling of this place and familiarize themselves with it. Tianyun smiled. The problem is, how do we get out now? Fan Honda was a little embarrassed. He thought about it, but he didn't know how Tianyun did it. Very simple. Tianyun grabbed him by the shoulder, and before he could react, they have already disappeared in the same place. At the same time, in the 8th floor, Demon God Sot and the rest were still soaking in the blood pool, tasting the meat that was just sent over. These were all processed meat, not as casually as the 7th floor. Not only were they processed, but they were also concocted, as if they were tasting delicacies. In their eyes, these cultivators were all food. This was the same as cultivators looking at demonic beasts. They were all food that could fill their stomachs and increase their strength. The strong preyed on the weak. It was displayed to the fullest here. It could only be said that the world with weak cultivation would eventually be ruled by them. I wonder if that kid was struck to death by the lightning? Demon God Sot ate a mouthful of meat, and even took out a handkerchief to wipe his mouth. He seemed to pay attention to etiquette. Even if he didn't die, he should be close to it. It's a pity that the heaven-devouring treasure, such a good treasure, was left in the heaven-lightning space. Demon God Sot shook his head in pity. I originally came to occupy the 3 realms, but now I'm trapped here. I don't know when I can get out. There's no other way. We can only say that our bloodline power is too strong. If we go out, we will be immediately sensed. When the time comes, I'll be forced in again. I really can't help it, Demon God Sog said helplessly. I can only say that we can only leave after we control the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda. It seems like we can only forcefully send those brats out, so that they can pave the way for us. Who knew that the ones I sent out would be destroyed so quickly? What a bunch of trash. Demon God Soter was extremely displeased. We wasted so much of our energy to send them out. Who knew that they would die outside? What a bunch of trash. We can only say that we underestimated the three realms' power. Demon God Sog swirled the cup in his hand. After drinking a mouthful of red blood essence, he said indifferently, "However, this is only a matter of time. I can feel that Sir Seer will come out very soon. When he descends, everything will be over." Lord Sire, Demon God Sog's eyes lit up, his eyes filled with worship. He turned to look at Demon God Sog and said, "Speaking of which, we have been gone for so long. I believe that the evil spirit Starfield will continue to send companions over, right?" "Definitely. This is a good place that we know. If we occupy this place, it will be easy to expand." Demon God Sog said indifferently. "However, when they come here, they will definitely laugh at us. After spending so much time, we can't even conquer a mere 3 realms. We even lost so many companions. We have underestimated the 3 realms. Who knew that they would be so strong?" Demon God Soter was very helpless and angry. They felt very helpless. They had greatly underestimated the 3 realms' power, causing them to suffer a great loss. After chatting, they continued to leisurely enjoy the food, as if they were just casually idling around. They did not cultivate. They just soaked in the blood pool and ate the food that was sent over. This was actually equivalent to cultivating. Regardless of whether it was the food or the blood pool, there was dense spiritual energy constantly being absorbed into their bodies, slowly increasing their power. However, their cultivation was too strong. If they wanted to break through, they would need a very long time. "The two of you long time no see. You seem to be chatting happily?" At this moment, 2 figures appeared at the side, giving them a fright. They jumped out of the blood pool and stared at the 2 figures with their eyes wide open. They felt that it was very inconceivable. How could the 2 of you come out? They were all stunned. However, they quickly calmed down and sized up the 2 figures. From their bodies, they did not look like they were struck by lightning. They did not have any injuries at all. It was as if they just took a stroll in the sky lightning dimension. Nothing is impossible. Now, the 2 of us will send you in a play for a while. Tianyin and Fan Hongda looked at each other and quickly formed hand seals. The 8 flame imprints in their hands immediately flew up, and a pillar of light enveloped Demon God Sog. Demon God Sog's cultivation was the strongest. Thus, he was the first to be sent in. Even if he did not die, he would at least be sent away with the strongest battle power. How? How could this be? You actually have 8 flame imprints as well? This is impossible. Demon God Sog shouted. However, before anyone could reply, he was already teleported away and disappeared from this region. Demon God Sog was also teleported into the sky lightning dimension to endure the terrifying sky punishment. How did the 2 of you come out? Demon God Sog looked at them coldly. However, he knew that he was helpless. He could not do anything. If he forcefully attacked, he would be punished. Although he would not die, he would not feel good. Furthermore, he would continue to be struck. Because they had all tried, that was why they knew. Tianyin and Fan Hongda could not be bothered with Demon God Sog. They turned around and walked forward. The 2 of you want to go to the Pagoda Master Altar. Demon God Sog intercepted them. However, it was useless. This place was so spacious. They could casually run in that direction. Moreover, they could only use their bodies to block. They could not attack. It was the same as not intercepting them. "Idiot, try attacking me if you have the ability." Tianyin pointed at himself and mocked. "Weren't you very arrogant just now? If you have the ability, hit me here." Tianyin pointed at his head and signaled Demon God Sog to hit him. Demon God Sog roared in anger. He swung his fist and wanted to smash it towards Tianyin. However, he did not dare to. However, he rolled his eyes and quickly rushed towards the Pagoda Master Altar. Very quickly, they all ran to the side of the Pagoda Master Altar. The Pagoda Master Altar was very simple. It was just a huge teleportation formation. After Fan Hongda stepped in, he quickly shouted, I want to accept the Pagoda Master's test. The next moment he disappeared. Demon God Sog also rushed in and shouted, I want to accept the Pagoda Master's test. Then he also disappeared. He had the bloodline of ancient underworld god kings descendant. It was not surprising that he could enter. Now, only Etionyan was outside. He felt very helpless. Doesn't this mean that he would not have the chance to make a move? He followed in and shouted, I also want to accept the Pagoda Master's test. Buzz! Chapter 824. I haven't been here for a long time. After Fan Hondo walked out of the teleportation formation, he looked at his surroundings and took a deep breath. He felt that it was so familiar. After so many years, he really missed it. Following closely, Demon God Soto walked out of the teleportation formation and hurriedly followed. You're really scheming, coming here to take the Pagoda Master exam right after coming out. Do you think I'll let you succeed? The Pagoda Master exam had a series of tests. There was no lack of battles between two people. The difference in their cultivation was huge. If they faced each other head-on, Fan Honda would definitely lose. When Fan Honda saw Demon God Soto walk in, his expression instantly changed. However, he quickly regained his composure. Is that so? I hope you can make it to the last step first. The Pagoda Master exam definitely wouldn't start with a fight. There would definitely be layers of tests. Even if there was only one person left in the end, he would still need to continue the test. It wasn't like becoming the Pagoda Master without any opponents. If it was so easy to become the Pagoda Master, Fan Hondo would have become the Pagoda Master long ago. Why wait until now? Even now, he might not have the confidence to become the Pagoda Master. He could only stake it all and see if he could become the Pagoda Master. If he couldn't become the Pagoda Master, they could still stay here. With two elders, they didn't fear Demon God Soto. When they were about to enter, the teleportation formation suddenly flashed. A figure followed from behind. Soto, you're back? Demon God Soto thought that it was Demon God Soto who returned. He wondered if it was too fast. Fan Honda's heart sank. Demon God Soto was already hard to deal with. Now that there was Demon God Soto, wouldn't it be even harder? The key was that they just sent Demon God Soto into the sky lightning space. In the blink of an eye, he came out. Wasn't this a bit too fast? However, thinking back to how Etionyan easily brought him out, could it be that Demon God Soto also easily came out? Previously, when Etionyan easily brought him out, he didn't even ask what was going on. Everyone had their own abilities. It was impossible to say everything. When they saw the person who walked out, even though it was clearly an enemy, they shouted in unison, It's you? The person who walked out wasn't Demon God Soto, but Etionyan. He was also teleported in. Not only were they shocked, even Etionyan himself was surprised. He was just bored, so he walked in and casually shouted. Who knew that it would really work? And he was teleported in just like that. Yes, it's me. Etionyan grinned. He was very satisfied with this result. He didn't like waiting outside, especially when Demon God Soter was inside. If he could kill him, it wouldn't be a waste. How did you get in? Swote was dumbfounded. The conditions to enter were simple. One needed to have the bloodline of the ancient underworld godly kings descendant and have 8 flame marks. It was true that Etionyan had obtained 8 fire marks, but he should not have been able to enter without the bloodline of the ancient underworld godly king's descendant. But he just had to appear in front of them, causing them to be dumbfounded. It was simply a little unbelievable. What does that have to do with you? Etionyan sneered and ignored Soter. Demon God Soter was startled and immediately said angrily, Very good. It doesn't matter if there are more of you. It just so happens that I can kill both of you at the same time. Do you really think that we can't do anything to you? Usually, Demon God Soter was a high and mighty existence, but now the other party didn't care at all, which made him very angry. Is that so? Come at me if you have the ability. Etionyan wasn't talking nonsense. He wasn't afraid of Demon God Soter at all. His cultivation had reached the peak of the Saint King stage, and combined with his various powers, he wasn't afraid of the other party. At this time, Fan Honda came to Etionyan's side and began to ask, How can you come in? Do you have the bloodline of an ancestor? How can I have the bloodline of the ancient underworld godly king? It's very likely that I have the bloodline of the king of the heavens. That's why I can come in here. After all, this place was created by the king of the heavens, and it's possible that your ancestor also allowed the descendants of the king of the heavens to come in, and even the descendants of the heaven-creating divine king. This was the only reason he could think of now, and it was very plausible. They didn't know what the three god kings had set up. Anyway, Tianyun didn't have the bloodline of the ancient underworld godly king, only the bloodline of the king of the heavens. That should be the case. Fan Honda nodded and didn't continue to ask. Anyway, they were all on the same side, and the more the better. Immediately after, he began to explain the general content of the test once again. The two of them walked forward at a moderate pace, and on the surface, they seemed to be walking side by side, without saying a word. In fact, they were constantly talking to each other, and they roughly explained the content of the assessment. Demon God Soder, who was on the side, said discontentedly, "Hurry up, don't talk nonsense here, hurry up." He wanted to walk forward, but it was meaningless to walk fast because he couldn't become a tower master. They couldn't pass the assessment just because of their bloodline, otherwise they would have become tower masters long ago. With their power, how could they not become tower masters? If you want to take the assessment, hurry up and get over there. Don't talk nonsense here. Tianyun looked at him coldly. Demon God Soder clenched his fists and said angrily with bloodshot eyes, "Brat, I hope I meet you later. I'll let you die a horrible death. I'll eat you bit by bit and let you taste endless pain. Don't worry, we'll see who eats who," Tianyun replied, and then ignored him. They walked forward, and then a long corridor appeared. The walls were very smooth, and there didn't seem to be any problems. When they stepped forward, it was like entering a special space, and ripples came from all around. Then Tianyun couldn't see Fan Honda and Demon God Soder anymore. What appeared in front of him wasn't the corridor, but an endless desert. It's not an illusion. After entering, Tianyun felt that the sand under his feet was very soft, and the surrounding temperature was rising. He could clearly feel that this wasn't an illusion. This was a real small world. Fan Honda had explained to him that this corridor was called the hallucinatory corridor. If he wanted to go forward, he had to pass through 5 worlds. Only by passing through 5 worlds could he reach the other side of the corridor. Chapter 8:25. This place is really barren. I can't find the right direction at all. Tianyun looked around. The biggest difficulty here was that it was all sand, and there was no way to guide him. What he needed now was to walk out of this world. That would be a small part of his success. When he continued to move forward, he suddenly felt a pulling force beneath his feet, quickly dragging him down. Tianyun's feet flashed lightly, and he quickly moved forward. At this time, he looked back and saw that the desert was pulling him, and it will continue to pull him into it, and eventually, he will be completely swallowed by it. Of course, after being swallowed, there would be no danger at all. However, he would not be able to participate in this assessment. If he wanted to participate again, he would have to wait until next year. Immediately, he moved forward. Flying was not feasible here, but running like crazy was not a problem. He flew like crazy. No matter how the sand under his feet swallowed, it could not swallow him at all. His speed was simply too fast. The engulfing desert couldn't do any damage to him at all. As he moved forward, a lot of sand surged up from the ground. It turned into sharp arrows and pierced towards him, trying to turn him into a sieve. It was not difficult for him. He just moved forward quickly and dodged the arrows easily. With such a shocking speed, unless Tianyun deliberately attacked him, he could easily dodge the arrows. The exit should be in front. Tianyun squinted his eyes. Fan Honda had told him the general situation. The exit was always changing. If he wanted to find it, he would have to rely on his own ability. If he did not even have this ability, it would be impossible for him to become the pagoda master. Obviously, there was no problem with Tianyun. He had locked onto the exit from the beginning. With his appraisal eye, there was nothing that could not be seen by him. "I'm here!" Tianyun rushed out in one breath. With a wave of ripples, he reappeared in the corridor. The place he was at now happened to be in the hallucinatory corridor from before. He was a few dozen meters ahead. Wow, I have only advanced a few dozen meters through a whole small world. Tianyun shook his head. He had to admit that their design was quite ingenious. Not only could they test the Tower Master, but they could also defend against intruders. Just as he was about to leave, a figure appeared beside him. It was Fan Honda. When Fan Honda saw Tianyun standing there, he was shocked. "You're already here?" He was shocked. He was very familiar with this place. After all, he had tried it several times. It was Tianyun's first time coming in, but the speed at which he came out was even faster than him. "Yes, it's not that difficult. It's just a little troublesome." Tianyun smiled. Fan Honda looked at him and silently cursed him in his heart. Demon God Soder was the last to come out. When he saw the two of them chatting side by side, he was stunned for a moment. Then, he snorted coldly and quickly rushed forward to enter the next world. However, he was extremely shocked. It was fine if Fan Honda was faster than him, but he didn't expect the newcomer to be faster than him. It was unbelievable. He felt very humiliated. He was a demon god, but he couldn't compare to a newcomer. He had also tried many times, even more than Fan Honda. But now, he lost to Tianyun. How could he not feel humiliated? Although it was just a small test, he still felt very humiliated. He didn't have the face to stay here anymore. He quickly left. "Okay, let's continue." Tianyun and Fan Honda nodded and continued forward. They instantly disappeared in this space. After entering, the first thing that came into view was an area filled with seawater. There was seawater everywhere, stretching as far as the eye could see. This environment was like changing a desert to seawater. The worst thing was that they couldn't fly. They could only swim forward bit by bit. They hadn't been swimming for long when a terrifying suction came from below, trying to pull them in. Tianyun reached out and slapped. He flew up and floated on the water. He didn't even need to swim in the water. He quickly ran forward. As long as he was fast enough, floating on water was not difficult at all. In this state, he quickly rushed out of the water world and successfully passed through this world. After leaving, he moved forward a few dozen meters like before. This time, he didn't hesitate and stepped into the next world. Following that, he saw sharp blades all over the place, each of them exuding a chilly aura. As soon as he entered, countless sharp swords shot at him, trying to turn him into a sieve. It was earth and water before. Now it's metal? Tianyun's eyes glanced and quickly dodged to the front, easily avoiding the attack. If one looked carefully, the environment here wasn't hard to understand. They all followed the 5 elements of metal: wood, water, fire, and earth. Fan Honda had mentioned 5 worlds before. Now it seemed that it was true. They still followed the 5 elements to advance. They used different elements to attack. It depended on whether one could dodge these fierce attacks. It's just that it's not that difficult, especially for Tianyun. It's too easy. He just needed to charge forward at an astonishing speed. There was no difficulty. After following him through this world, he entered the next world. It was just as he had imagined. It was a world of fire. After stepping out of the final world of wood, a spacious hall came into view. What appeared in front of him was an incomparably huge and glossy wall. Apart from that, there were no other entrances. He didn't know where to go. There wasn't even an exit behind him. After he walked out, the corridor behind him disappeared. In its place was a thick wall. What is he playing at this time? Tianyun walked forward. Fan Honda didn't explain the situation here. He only explained the 5 worlds. After all, he had to pass through the 5 worlds first. He could talk about the later ones later. If he didn't pass the first one, it was useless to talk about the later ones. When he got close to the wall, a ray of light quickly appeared around him and enveloped him, enveloping the place. It looked like a challenge outside. A shield would appear. Didn't it mean that there was going to be a big battle? Why did you go in? After Fan Honda successfully passed the first level, he came out. When he saw Tianyun standing there, he was stunned. Chapter 8:26. Tianyun saw Fan Honda's shocked expression. "I didn't do anything wrong, did I?" There was only a wall around them. Apart from a few weapons on the side, there was nothing else. There were basically all kinds of weapons, such as swords, spears, and so on. They looked very ordinary, very low-grade weapons, only common iron grade. It was really shocking to see a common iron weapon here. "What's going on?" Tianyin asked. "Ha, idiot! You walked in so quickly and didn't even take a weapon. How are you going to break through this wall?" Demon God Soder also came out smoothly. After coming out, he saw Tianyin and the others were faster than him. He was very unconvinced. When he saw Tianyin walk up to the smooth wall without a weapon, he immediately laughed, tears almost coming out of his eyes. "You need a weapon to break through?" Tianyin frowned and said, "What kind of rule is this? Smashing the wall with scrap copper and iron?" "Brother E, this is the rule. If you want to use those weapons to smash the wall, not only do you need to break the wall, but you also can't break the weapon. If the weapon is broken, you will be disqualified." Fan Hongda smiled bitterly. "You don't even have a weapon. If you walk out, it means you admit defeat and are disqualified." After Fan Hongda explained, Tianyin understood what was going on. So weapons were needed. He noticed the scrap metal when he first came in, but who would have thought there was such a rule? More importantly, they were outside the competition area, and there were no rules. Wasn't this a trap? Now you're stupid, right? What an idiot. Are you humans so stupid? If those things were just for decoration, why did you put them there? Demon God Soder laughed. Since he couldn't beat people up, he could only choose to mock Tianyin and piss him off. "You need weapons to break this wall? Can't you use your fists?" Tianyin said indifferently. Both of them were startled. Then Demon God Soft laughed and said, "You idiot! If you could use your fists, why would you be given so many weapons to choose from? You're really an idiot." Boom! Tianyin swung his fist and smashed it against the wall. With a loud bang, the wall was immediately penetrated by his fist. As the wall collapsed, an entrance appeared in front of him. Fan Hongda and the Demon God Soder were dumbfounded. They didn't think that they could really smash it open. They had always thought that weapons were used to smash open the door. They didn't expect that it could be smashed open with fists. The question was this considered a success? If he could succeed, what would the weapons on the side be used for? All this time, they had been using weapons to break open the wall. If the weapon was damaged, it would be equivalent to failure. Now, Tianyin was not using a weapon, but his fists. In their opinion, they were bound to fail. Even if they destroyed the wall, it wouldn't be considered a success. However, Tianyin wasn't teleported out. Instead, a beam of light shrouded him from the sky and branded a faint flame mark on his forehead. It was as if he had received some inheritance. Tianyin felt a surge of power flowing into his body. It was more of an inheritance power. At this moment, he felt that he had some connection with the ancient Ming divine pagoda. "I'm sorry, these weapons are indeed just decorations. You used your weapons to smash open the wall, so you've indeed succeeded. However, it only proves that you're too inflexible and don't know how to break the rules. This kind of person can't become the pagoda master." Tianyin looked at them and said, "Evil spirit race idiots, what do you think?" Demon God Sa's face turned green and white. However, his face was black and he couldn't see any expression, but he was extremely embarrassed. He didn't expect that the other party had not only succeeded, but he had also received a strange recognition. This was something they had never seen before. There's such a thing. Fan Hongda was dumbfounded. He had never heard of such a situation before. Now, he had seen it for himself. It seemed that these tests that the ancient Ming Divine King had created were not to test their accuracy, but to see if they would follow the rules too much. A truly good pagoda master couldn't be too inflexible and follow the rules that the ancient Ming Divine King had left behind. The rules that the ancient Ming Divine King had left behind were just his thoughts at the time. It could still be more perfect. Therefore, he needed a pagoda master who knew how to be more perfect and flexible. That was why he had created such a deceptive test. Why did he have to smash the wall with ordinary metal? He could just use his fist. He didn't need any other weapons. It could even be said that if he used his own weapon to smash the wall, it would probably be judged as a success. Suo demon god didn't know how to refute Yi Tianyun's scolding. He had scolded Yi Tianyun before, but now he felt like he had been slapped in the face by Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun had accidentally done this. He had been too focused on studying the wall that he had neglected other things. I'll make a move first. Yi Tianyun turned around and walked into the cave, quickly disappearing inside. But this time, the wall didn't recover. It didn't recover like before. Instead, it maintained the signs of damage. Fan Honda didn't think much and hurriedly followed. Demon God Soth also followed. Soon, the two of them caught up. They didn't need to go through the test, so they could easily catch up. Brother E, it's really amazing that you managed to think of this. Fan Honda said sincerely. It's nothing. It's just luck. Yi Tianyun smiled. That's right. It's just some stupid luck. It's just a fluke. I hope you can maintain this luck in the future. Demon God Soth sneered. Or should I say, if you run into me, all that luck is bullsh *t. Yi Tianyun glanced at him indifferently. He didn't bother to pay attention to him, and continued to walk forward with Fan Honda. Demon God Soth was exasperated. He didn't expect Yi Tianyun to ignore him and not take him seriously. He was furious, but he had no other choice. If he could beat someone up, he would do it right here and now. As they passed through the long passageway, they saw a mirror. The moment they walked in, they could clearly see themselves in the mirror. The entire area was a mirror. What's with this round? Are you trying to see who's more handsome? Yi Tianyun turned to look at Demon God Soth. Looks like you're going to lose. Bullsh *t. Demon God Soth said angrily. You humans are the ugly ones. With your disgusting looks, you're worse than trash. Chapter 8:27. Fan Honda couldn't help but laugh when he heard Yi Tianyun calling Suo a demon god ugly. Fan Honda couldn't help but laugh at Yi Tianyun's audacity. This was a divine king powerhouse. When he was enraged, it could be said to destroy the world. Yi Tianyun ignored him and kept on insulting him. Sometimes, words were like a sharp blade, stabbing into the enemy's heart. Enraging them would easily make them lose their composure. Most importantly, a godly king like Suo was so easily angered. His Tao heart wasn't strong enough, so he was easily influenced. Suo's cultivation environment was too good. Here they had to climb step by step. It was hard for their Tao heart to not be firm. The faster they broke through, the more unstable their Tao heart would be. However, Yi Tianyun is an exception. His cultivation breakthrough is fast, but he has also experienced a lot of things. He is not a young master who always hides at home. Is that so? Ancient underworld god king is an expert of the three realms. His aesthetic standards are different from yours. Yi Tianyun said with a contemptuous smile. I don't want to talk to you. This isn't a competition of looks. Idiot. Soon after, demon god Soder's eyes suddenly lit up. After thinking of something, he immediately charged forward and heavily punched the mirror. Boom! A terrifying force bounced back from the mirror and sent him flying. But his body was strong. The power wasn't bad, but it didn't do much damage to him. What's going on? I can't break the mirror? Suo froze. Looks like you want to try breaking the rules and shattering the mirror like I did before. Yi Tianyun shook his head and said, I told you it's just luck. But you don't even have luck. It's a pity that you failed. Suo's face paled. He really wanted to be like Yi Tianyun and break the rules. As long as they are not blind, they know that the mark Yi Tianyun just obtained is definitely very useful. This was the key to becoming the pagoda master. Demon God Soder snorted coldly and retorted, Fine, you have what it takes. I hope you won't meet me later. But that's impossible. Meeting me will be the end of your luck. At that time, I hope you can still talk fast. After saying that, Demon God Soder walked forward and placed his hand on the surface of the mirror. Then he disappeared. Let's go. This battle is relatively simple. We just have to fight ourselves. Fan Honda arrived in front of the mirror and placed his hand on it. Then, just like Demon God Soth, he quickly disappeared into the mirror. Yi Tianyun also came to the front of the mirror and put his hand on it. Then, he disappeared into the mirror as if he was sucked in. After entering, It was as if he had entered a special space. He was surrounded by himself, and he did not know where he would appear from to fight. Fighting against myself? It's the same old trick again. As soon as he finished speaking, four figures suddenly rushed out from the mirrors in all directions. Without hesitation, they raised their fists and smashed over. Each of Yi Tianyun's cultivation was at the peak of Saint King's stage. Yi Tianyun thought that there would be only one of him, but he didn't expect that there would be four of him. Sure enough, the Tower Master's assessment isn't easy. Four Saint King's stage cultivators appeared at the same time. Huh? Yi Tianyun turned his head and found that the speed of the four himself rushing towards him is too slow. They are too slow compared to his current self. They are not even on the same level as him. Immediately, he found the problem. These him couldn't successfully simulate his own equipment, let alone various martial arts. They just simulated their cultivation and combined it with ancient underworld god kings' martial arts and so on. If they couldn't simulate their equipment, then they were just a pile of garbage in front of him. Get lost! Yi Tianyun kicked them away. One by one, they hit the crystal wall and broke into countless light spots that disappeared in the air. Ding successfully killed the mirror image, got 3,200 EXP, 500 crazy point. Ding successfully killed the mirror image, got 3,200 EXP, 500 crazy point. Ding successfully killed the mirror image. Yi Tianyun was immediately dumbfounded when he saw the EXP. These are all Saint King stage cultivators. How could they give such garbage EXP? Only 100 EXP. It's almost the same as the ordinary demon beasts he killed a long time ago. He even stacked 32 times EXP, but in the end, he only got 100 EXP. It's disgusting. Fortunately, he didn't use the EXP card, otherwise he would have lost a lot of money. After easily dealing with them, four more figures appeared in the surroundings and attacked him again. Again? Yi Tianyun was stunned for a moment, and then he immediately kicked out again, and a group of himself was kicked out, and once again they were easily kicked out. The EXP he got was still 100 points. What's going on? Why are you still here? Yi Tianyun frowned. He didn't know what the assessment was. When he thought it was over, Ford himself appeared on the mirror again. Then they rushed up again and started another round of battle. It was just that this battle had ended with a single kick, and they had been easily trampled to death. After several rounds, about a quarter of an hour later, the himself, who was going to attack him, suddenly disappeared. Instead, a light shrouded him and branded a mark on his forehead. Again? Yi Tianyun felt strange. He didn't know what the standard was. There was no explanation at all. He had to explore it by himself. He immediately walked out. After he went out, Fan Honda and the others also came out, but the problem was that they didn't have a flame mark on their foreheads. Fan Honda originally had a flame mark, but it was different from Yi Tianyun's, so he didn't get it. Not to mention Demon God Swote. There was no trace of it at all. Brother E, did you get the flame mark again? Fan Honda was surprised when he saw the mark on Yi Tianyun's forehead deepened. You didn't get it? Yi Tianyun was confused. No, it would be great if I could get it. Fan Honda shook his head and sighed. Then what's your situation? You didn't defeat your opponent? Yi Tianyun asked. Yes, I defeated 2 rounds, but I still couldn't get it. Fan Honda shook his head. Defeated 2 rounds? Yi Tianyun frowned. Does it have something to do with the number of defeats? Then how many rounds did you defeat? Fan Honda asked curiously. I think more than 5 or 6. Yi Tianyun couldn't remember. Chapter 828. In order to obtain the recognition of the Pagoda Master's imprint, one would need to go through many rounds. No wonder everyone came out after a quarter of an hour. Within a quarter of an hour, one would need to defeat many rounds of himself. This number could be 4 rounds, or it could be 5. In any case, Yi Tianyun obtained it. Fan Honda could only defeat himself twice, which was a pretty good result. Facing 4 himself was not a small task. Demon God Swote did not have an imprint, which meant that it would be equally difficult to deal with 4 of him. He could also imitate the cultivation of a God King. Don't underestimate the high-grade divine tool created by the 3 God Kings. Fortunately, Demon God Swote's cultivation was not very high. Otherwise, he would not be able to imitate it. The ancient Ming god pagoda could not imitate such a powerful phantom. It might allow him to pass directly or imitate the peak cultivation. At the very least, demon god Swoke could not defeat himself, or perhaps he could only defeat himself 2 or 3 rounds. He did not say anything. If he said anything, it would only make him lose face. Soon after, the 3 of them passed and continued forward. After walking into the corridor, the surroundings immediately changed. It turned into a surging heavenly fire. It burned crazily at the side, as if to intimidate the cultivators who came. Be careful, don't fall down here. Otherwise, you will definitely be burned by the heavenly fire. That feeling is not good. Fan Hongda reminded him. His worry was unnecessary. The corridor was very wide. It was impossible for them to fall down, right? Unless someone threw them out, they wouldn't fall down no matter what. How stupid would that person be to fall down like that? Demon God Swoke could not help but interject. He felt that Fan Hongda's words were too nonsensical. Fan Hongda frowned, but did not refute. There was nothing much to say to him. Saying too much would be a waste of breath. Tianyun's eyes narrowed as he thought of something. In the next moment, he immediately exchanged for a bad luck god pill in the shop. He placed it in his finger and flicked it. Xiao entered Demon God Swote's body. The Demon God Soder felt something bouncing in. He subconsciously looked at Tianyun, but the latter's expression was calm, as if nothing had happened. He sized up Tianyun suspiciously. It was impossible to attack him in this place. If he did so, he would be breaking the rules. If that happened, he would definitely be punished and chased out of this place. When he turned around, Tianyun revealed a devilish smile. Bad Luck Divine Pill. Activate. Bad Luck Divine Pill's effect activated. Lasts for 5 minutes. In the next moment, as Demon God Soder was walking, a heavenly fire suddenly rolled out from the side and bound his feet. Immediately after, a thick layer of ice formed around his feet. At the same time, the flames continued to spread. Demon God Soth was so frightened that he immediately used his power to shatter the ice. At the same time, he quickly dodged to the side. However, just as he was about to dodge to the side, his feet suddenly slipped and he rolled out along the walkway. Since he couldn't fly, and the speed at which he rolled out was too fast, he rolled directly into the pile of heavenly flames on the side of the walkway. This scene stunned Fan Hongda. He had walked here many times, but he had never seen such a situation. The heavenly fire at the side would take the initiative to attack people? How could he not know about this? The heavenly fire at the side was mostly used to store energy to maintain the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda. Therefore, it didn't have any attack effect. Who knew that when it was Demon God Soder's turn, it would attack people? The key point was, why did Demon God Soder roll inside? What was going on? After Fan Hongda saw clearly, he realized that the ground had been frozen by the heavenly fire. It should have been when Demon God Soder was being bound by the heavenly fire. When Demon God Soder struggled, he neglected the situation under his feet, causing his feet to slip. After Demon God Soder fell in, he was immediately burned by the heavenly fire. A thick layer of ice covered his body, trying to completely freeze him here. However, Demon God Soder was not an ordinary cultivator. As a God King expert, it was impossible for him to freeze to death here. Therefore, he forced himself to walk over step by step. Finally, he grabbed the walkway and climbed up. His whole body was frozen, and it looked terrible. Even a God King expert would suffer different kinds of injuries after being frozen by the heavenly fire for a while. Hey, I don't know who said that unless one is an idiot, it is impossible to fall down here. If that's the case, aren't you an idiot? Tianyun laughed. You lowly human. What are you talking about? Demon God Soder stood up. He was in a sorry state. Nothing. It's just that you said it yourself. Did you forget? Tianyun sneered and continued to walk forward. Fan Hongda followed him with a strange expression. But in his heart, he was very happy. He wished that Demon God Soder would die here. Of course, things did not end so easily. Demon God Soder continued to fall, falling several times. In just 5 minutes, he was almost half crippled. What's going on with this Demon God Soder? Why does he keep falling? Why are we fine? Fan Honda asked. Bad luck, that's all. Tianyun smiled. Luck is also a kind of strength. Clearly, he doesn't have that kind of strength. Fan Honda nodded his head in agreement. Demon God Soder fell to this state. He had no choice but to believe it. After that, they didn't bother with Demon God Soth and continued walking forward. They walked out of the passageway uneventfully. Following that, another stone tablet came into view. However, this stone tablet had two large words carved on it. My heart. My heart. Tianyun looked at the stone tablet and asked, Is this trial a test of perception? Yes. Fan Honda nodded and said, This place tests one's comprehension. Only by comprehending the things inside can one pass this stage. Basically, all the stages of comprehension were tested. For these seniors, they only cared about these few points when choosing their inheritors. Back and forth, it was all about the time of the test, no matter how many changes there were. Choosing a successor would definitely require someone with good talent, good comprehension, and a strong temperament. Otherwise, if one chose someone too weak, it would not be of any benefit to one's successor. Just as they were about to sit down to meditate, Demon God Soder ran over in a sorry state. In just a few minutes, he felt like he was going to be crippled. Chapter 8:29. Demon God Swote meditated the moment he came in. Other than being lazy to listen to Tianyun and the rest, his main purpose was to recover from his injuries. There was no conflict between comprehension and recovery. They had been here many times, so they knew what to do. To comprehend here, you have to at least comprehend until it emits a faint blue light to be considered to have passed. If you are below this level, it means you have failed. There is a time limit. Look at the flame at the side. If it is extinguished, it means the time is up. Based on past experience, this time can last at most 3 days. After 3 days, if there is no reaction, it means you are out. You have just come here, so you are at a slight disadvantage compared to us who have been here before. But I believe it should not be a big problem. Fan Honda patted his shoulder and gave him some encouragement. The difficulty here was not small, especially to stimulate the light of the stone tablet. They had all been here before, so they knew how to comprehend. As expected, the moment Demon God Swote sat down, the stone tablet immediately reacted. A faint blue light appeared, which meant that he had been here more than once to comprehend. Seeing Demon God Swote comprehending so easily, Fan Honda was very unhappy. This was originally something that belonged to them, but Demon God Swote comprehended it. How could he not be angry? Don't look at me like that. It is too easy to comprehend something like this. To us, these so-called comprehensions are just a pile of trash. Any random martial art would be much better than what you have here. What you view as a treasure is just a pile of trash to us. If it was not to become the Tower Master, do you think we would comprehend this trash? Have you seen us use your martial arts? From the very beginning, we will never cultivate your martial arts. It's not interesting at all. Demon God Swote slowly opened his eyes and spoke while mocking them. But even though he was distracted to speak, the comprehension effect did not decrease. As it continued to rise, the faint blue light became deeper and deeper. He had already passed. He was not lying. He was really expressing his disdain for the martial arts here. When Tianyun killed them, he obtained those martial arts. They were indeed not bad. They were at least high-grade heaven-class martial arts, which was a very shocking level. However, he was wrong about one thing. It wasn't that the martial arts here didn't catch their eye, but that they couldn't cultivate them at all. Their original situation was different, and if they were to cultivate, they might even explode. Is that so? That doesn't mean you'll be acknowledged, right? Tianyun retorted from the side. If you have the ability, then get the approval of this stage. Don't talk about these useless things. No matter how trashy you are, you won't be able to obtain recognition. This proves that you can't even comprehend trashy, and you still dare to call me trashy? Tianyun pointed at the flame brand on his forehead and retorted. Demon God Sother's face darkened. He wanted to beat them up a little, but he didn't expect Tianyun to tell him the truth. What powerful comprehension. He hadn't even succeeded yet. What kind of bragging was that? Maybe there's no such thing as a brand here. You're thinking too much. Demon God Sother said coldly. I can basically comprehend it. If I can't even do that, it means there's no such thing here. Fan Honda didn't retort. He had tried many times, and even lit up all the stone steels, but he didn't see any that could obtain recognition. The entire huge stone steel was lit up, but he still didn't obtain this bit of recognition. Is that so? I don't think so. Etianyan sat in meditation. He felt the mark on his forehead. There is a feeling of excitement, indicating that it wants to get more flame marks. The stone tablet in front of him clearly gave him such a feeling. This meant that there was definitely a flame brand inside this stone steel. The moment he sat down, the stone steel in front of him released a dazzling light. With a buzz, the entire stone steel trembled, and the blue light enveloped the entire stone steel. He had just sat down. How could he obtain such an effect? Fan Honda and Demon God Sother were stunned. Was this really not his first time here? How could he obtain such an effect just after he sat down? This wasn't the end. The stone steel that was originally emitting light gradually turned from blue to dark blue, and then to purple. This was an unprecedented color, a color that had never appeared before. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, the entire ancient Ming divine pagoda was shaking. The cultivators inside were shocked by the tremors, and they all looked up at the sky. Although there was nothing in the sky, they could feel that the tremors were coming from above. As the tremors continued, everyone felt that the sky was about to change. They had never experienced such tremors before. All of them stopped what they were doing, and even those who were competing stopped. This was unprecedented, and they didn't know what was going on. Little did they know that this was caused by Etianyan. Under his comprehension, the entire stone steel shook, and the ancient Ming divine pagoda was affected. The power that Fan Honda and Demon God Sother were comprehending was instantly covered by Etianyan's power, and it was replaced by Etianyan's domineering purple light. After rushing into the sky, Etianyan suddenly opened his eyes. Buzz! A cold light shot out, and he was bounced up. He floated in the air and said in a deep voice, "My heart is the way." The 4 words, "My heart is the way," spun in the air once, and they were imprinted on the stone steel. Below the original 2 words, "My heart," there were 2 more big words. They were for the way. They were dumbfounded. He could even embed words on the stone steel. What was going on? Shortly after, Etianyan slowly floated down from the sky. Following that, a ray of light shrouded down from the sky, and the flame mark on his forehead deepened. He felt as though he had gained more power. Phew! Etianyan took a deep breath. He already knew what he had to do when he came here. It was not wrong to let them comprehend, but more importantly, he had to find some kind of power to fill in the blanks. He had an incomparably firm Tao heart. Therefore, he mobilized his Tao heart to fill in the blanks, and from there, he could draw out the true power. They had been comprehending the 2 words, "my heart," all this time, and had never thought of filling in the blanks. Did they think they could succeed just like that? That was simply T. Who was the one who said that there was no flame mark here? Who was the one who said that this place was trash? Etianyan looked coldly at Demon God Sother. Those who said such things are really worse than trash now. Chapter 830. Demon God Sother's face turned green and white as he was scolded. From the moment he entered the Tower Master Assessment, he had been slapped in the face and scolded until now. Most importantly, he couldn't refute it at all. It was a complete slap in the face. What Etianyan said was the truth, and what he said was extremely arrogant, but in the end his face was still slapped swollen. Kid, the more arrogant you are now, the more miserable your death will be. Demon God Sother gritted his teeth and said, "I'm arrogant?" Etianyan looked at him and said with a faint smile, "It seems like I don't know who was the one who talked big from the beginning, saying that someone is stupid, but in the end, you are the one who spoke too arrogantly and got slapped in the face by me. And now you say that I'm arrogant? Of course, when the time comes, I really don't know who will die more miserably. If he could fight, he would have already fought with Demon God Sother instead of staying here. Good. Just you wait. You will know soon. Demon god Suth lifted his foot and walked forward. There was already a passage in front of him, which meant that they could move forward. Brother E, if you provoke him like this... Fan Honda's eyes were filled with worry. The other party was a god king. If they really fought, it would be terrible. In other words, if I don't provoke him, he won't do anything to me, Tianyun said indifferently. Even if I can't deal with him, I can't lose to him in terms of momentum. King Fan, it seems that you have been outside for too long. Your momentum is a bit weak. Fan Honda fell silent. He was much more restrained than before. If he didn't restrain himself, he would definitely attract a fatal disaster. He sighed deeply. Different people had different ways to deal with things. He mainly focused on the path of moderation, so he didn't dare to show off too much. After all, it was better to keep a low profile. Tianyun didn't think so. Keeping a low profile was a good thing, but some people had already come knocking on his door. If he didn't fight back, he was afraid that he would be bullied more and more. Immediately, they quickly followed. There was also a long corridor here, and there were still many heavenly fire on the side. It was no different from the previous path. This time, demon god Soth ran extremely fast. He ran forward as fast as he could, wanting to get out of this place as quickly as possible. He felt that this place was too strange, and he didn't want to experience the same situation as before. Thus, he ran as fast as he could. Tianyun watched him run away and shook his head helplessly. He had wanted to continue playing this trick, but he didn't expect him to run too fast. After following them out, what came into view was an empty space. There was nothing in front of them. Shortly after, an illusory figure condensed in the air. It was a young man floating in the air. This person was not a living being. He was the phantom left behind by the ancient Ming Divine King when he left, the phantom that controlled the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda. Congratulations on reaching the final stage. Because there are too many people, one person needs to be eliminated. Phantom pointed at Fan Honda and Demon God Soth and said, "You two fight. Whoever loses will be eliminated. Whoever wins will continue." I've finally arrived at this stage. I'll start by getting rid of you. Demon God Soth looked coldly at Fan Honda and said, "The king of heavenly netherworld divine nation wanted to eat you before, but you used your special power to avoid him. Now, how can you hide?" The descendants of the ancient underworld god kings had always been their targets. Fan Honda's bloodline was so pure. How could they miss it? Therefore, when they found Fan Honda, they wanted to devour him. However, Fan Honda's situation was special, so they couldn't devour him. If they let him play around outside, it would have a great impact. In the end, they could only reluctantly throw him into the heavenly lightning area and kill him. Now it was different. They had to fight forcefully. Demon God Soth would definitely have a chance to stop Fan Honda before he could escape. Fan Honda's face darkened. What he was worried about had finally happened. His cultivation was not weak, but facing a divine king expert, he could only be abused. At this time, Tianyun put something in his hand and said, "Hurry up and choose to escape. Leave the rest to me." After Fan Honda received the thing, Fan Honda was slightly startled. He nodded and didn't say anything. After Fan Honda put away the thing, Tianyun looked at Phantom and said, "That guy is from the evil spirit race. Aren't you going to punish him?" Phantom's eyes immediately locked on Demon God Soth. After looking back and forth, she said, "Because he has the bloodline of the ancient Ming Divine King, he is not allowed to be punished." This was not unexpected. If he could be punished, he would have been punished long ago. As long as he had the bloodline of the ancient Ming Divine King, he would be immediately ineffective. Idiot, do you think this will work?" Demon God Soth said coldly. "After I get rid of this guy, I'll deal with you. Hurry up and start. I can't wait anymore." Phantom looked at the two of them and asked, "Are you two ready?" "Didn't I just say, I'm ready?" Demon God Soth said impatiently. "I'm ready." Fan Honda nodded. "Then get ready to fight. If you escape from the range, you will be eliminated. Admitting defeat in the middle is not considered a loss. You must escape to be considered a loss." Phantom released a thick shield, covering them. The shield was about 1,000 zhong wide. It was not very wide. The problem was that if the opponent was very strong, they would not be able to escape. After everything was prepared, Phantom said, "Then let the competition officially begin." With that order, Demon God Soth's God King, second layer power, immediately burst out. A terrible power soared up to the sky. Boom! Demon God Soth stomped on the ground, creating a hole. All the anger and humiliation in his heart burst out at this moment. Right now, he wanted to use all his strength to tear Fan Honda to shreds and swallow him into his stomach. It was that simple. Fan Honda turned around and ran. He also burst out with extreme speed. He knew that if he tried to be brave, he would die here. As long as there is life, there is hope. Want to run? Impossible. With his full power eruption, Demon God Soth rapidly closed the distance between him and Fan Honda. His speed was much faster than Fan Honda's. In the blink of an eye, he arrived before Fan Honda. The gap between the two was like a chasm. Demon God Soth reached out to grab Fan Honda. He wanted to press Fan Honda to the ground. Just when he was about to grab Fan Honda, a light was released from his body, forming a huge shield. Under this shield, it shot towards Demon God Soth. Demon God Soth ignored it and continued to slap down. But a tyrannical force rebounded. Boom! Demon God Soth's huge body was sent flying. With a bang, the shield was crushed into a pile of energy fragments. But before that, Fan Honda borrowed a force to quickly rush forward, and in an instant, he rushed out of the area of the competition. The shield that burst out was actually the heaven-devouring divine treasure. Etion Yun lent the heaven-devouring divine treasure to Fan Honda. With the heaven-devouring divine treasure, Fan Honda could barely withstand the attack of a God King stage expert. This was enough for him to escape. Chapter 831. If you leave the arena, you will be judged to have lost. After Fan Honda left the arena, the shield disappeared, and at the same time, Fan Honda was judged to have lost. Everyone knew that if one left the arena, they would be judged to have lost. Brother E, if it wasn't for your treasure, I would have been dead. Fan Honda looked at the ground behind him, which had almost caved in. The power of a God King stage cultivator was too strong. Even a peak Saint King stage cultivator would not be able to fight against them. The opponent was too overbearing. If it wasn't for the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda's strong suppressive power, the three realms would have fallen once the demon gods left. There were no godly monarchs in the three realms. In a situation where there were no godly monarchs, a single godly monarch was enough to bathe the three realms in blood. This was not a joke. Anyone below the God King stage was an ant. This could be changed to any realm. For example, anyone below the Saint King stage was an ant. This represented the difference in realms. It was difficult to make up for it in terms of numbers. Unless it was a sneak attack, it would be difficult to kill a God King stage cultivator. It's fine. This thing can withstand it. Etion nodded. He had tried it himself. It could barely withstand the attack of a God King stage cultivator, especially since Demon God Soter did not use his full strength. Fan Honda was not crushed in one slap. Demon God Soter did not have the habit of eating meat sauce, so he did not use his full strength. Under such circumstances, the heaven-devouring divine treasure was enough to withstand the attack. Ah! Demon God Soter rushed over angrily and wanted to slap Fan Honda. However, the two of them were not afraid at all. If they attacked, Demon God Soter would be the first one to be teleported out. This meant that he was not injured at all. Not only would he be eliminated, but he would also be punished. A God King stage level 2 cultivator was powerful. However, the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda was supported by 3 powerful God Kings. Even if it could not kill him easily, it could still suppress him. If you have the ability, fight over here. If you hit me first, I lose. Etion pointed to his forehead. Humph. Demon God Swot snorted coldly and retracted his fist. He suppressed his anger and said, I didn't expect you to be willing to lend this treasure to him. Aren't you humans greedy and selfish? Don't worry. You're not referring to the majority of the human race. It's just a small portion. E. Tianyun sneered. Fan Hongda returned the heaven-devouring divine artifact to E. Tianyun, nodded and said, Brother E, be careful. Although you are not godly king ancient underworld's man, I hope you can become the Tower Master. As soon as he finished speaking, he was teleported out. If he lost, he would definitely be teleported out. Now that there were only 2 people left, what kind of test would they have to face? This was the last test. Become a Tower Master? Demon God, Sotek sneered. Do you know what the final trial is? Let me tell you, the last stage is to climb the tower. In the process of climbing the tower, they could interfere with each other, which was no different from a competition. I will make sure that you won't even be able to take a step forward and die on the road. Climb the tower? Etianyin squinted at Phantom. Phantom said, That's right, the last stage is to climb the tower. The remaining 2 will climb the tower and reach the 9th floor. You can interfere with each other along the way, and whoever reaches the top first will be the final winner. Climbing to the 9th floor makes me a Tower Master? Is it that simple? Etianyin frowned at Demon God Sotek, feeling a little strange. If it was that simple, we would have become Tower Masters long ago. Idiot! Demon God Swot sneered. So, what if you climb to the top? Without bloodline power, everything is for naught. Of course, I'm not here to climb the tower. I'm here to make you feel fear. Your talent is not bad. Your flesh must be delicious. Is that so? Then let's see who eats who. Etianyin looked at him indifferently. Phantom raised her hand, and a spacious, winding staircase appeared in front of them. This was the staircase that led to the top of the tower. As long as one climbed it, it was possible to become a Tower Master. No wonder there was no staircase on the 8th floor. The real staircase was here. Etianyin believed that it was not that simple. Just as Fan Hongda had said, to become a Tower Master, one must have a pure bloodline. Otherwise, Demon God Sotek and the others would have become Tower Masters long ago. At the same time, they would need other things to become Tower Masters. For example, the flame mark on Etianyun's forehead was obviously a symbol. At the same time, the whole ancient underworld divine pagoda shook. This made the cultivators, who thought that everything had returned to normal, stop to observe the situation again. Immediately, a shadow appeared in the sky of every floor. It could even be said that the sky had turned into a picture. In this picture, Etianyin and Demon God Sotek were standing together. When they saw this, they said in surprise, Isn't this the human from before? What's going on? Why does he look so disgusting? He has 8 arms, and his aura is not simple. Yes, what race is that? Why haven't I seen it before? What did you say? Apologize for us? Apologize for what? Are you from the same race as that 8-claw monster? When those who had seen it before and those who had not seen it before saw this scene, they started discussing it. For many of them, this was the first time they had seen this race. Some had seen it before, but they did not know what race it was. Others knew it, but did not care about their disgusting behavior. Similarly, their overreaction immediately provoked their fellow race members, who wanted to fight them. No one knew what was going on in the sky of the 8th floor. This was the first time they had seen such a scene. What's going on? Big Brother E is in the Tower Master assessment? Fan Shuechuan and the others stopped and looked at the picture in the sky in disbelief. The 12 golden hairpins also stopped. They had now climbed to the 3rd floor, and their cultivation levels had greatly increased. Their eyes, which were originally filled with cold, killing intent, gradually became gentle when they saw the picture in the sky. This was their master. Etianyin turned his head and looked around. He said doubtfully, What's going on? We can see it from here? Yes, because you are qualified to become the Tower Master. You need everyone in the pagoda to witness your success, the Phantom said respectfully. There's such a thing? Etianyin pointed at the flame mark between his eyebrows and asked doubtfully, Is there a problem with this flame mark? Yes, this is the sign that you have passed the assessment. It means that you have the opportunity to become the Tower Master, the Phantom said. What about him? Etianyin pointed at it and asked. No, he is not qualified to become the Tower Master. the phantom answered truthfully. Then why are you still letting him stay here? Etianyun asked doubtfully. Because his cultivation level is high, and he meets the rules. If he defeats you, then you will lose your chance. He will be an interceptor, the phantom explained. Chapter 832. After Swot defeats Etianyun, he won't be able to replace the flame mark. He'll just be a hindrance. To put it bluntly, he'll just increase the difficulty a bit. Not only will he increase the difficulty a bit, but he'll also let everyone watch him until he loses or successfully reaches the top. What's going on? You mean everyone is watching us? Swot frowned. Yes, the phantom said indifferently. Her attitude towards Swot and Etianyun is completely different. She treats Etianyun like a master and treats Swot like a passerby. He doesn't even have a flame mark on his forehead, which means he doesn't even have the qualifications. What's there to be respectful about? Hurry up and stop. Demon God Solder roared angrily. He doesn't want everyone to see his situation, especially those who don't know what's going on here. I won't stop. I have to let everyone know if you'll become the Tower Master or not, the phantom said. But this didn't happen when we came here. Swot is about to go crazy. Because you didn't have the qualifications to become the Tower Master, so this didn't happen, the phantom replied. Damn it. Swot is so angry that he wants to kill someone, but he can't do anything to the phantom. He can't kill it no matter what. He can only watch. Is everyone watching the situation over here? Etianyun's eyes lit up. He immediately took out the crystal and crushed it. Soon, the scene recorded on the 7th floor appeared in front of him. The 7th floor is like a purgatory. The evil spirit race's true body is crazily devouring all kinds of corpses. Some are even soaking in blood. He originally wanted to find a time to let them know, but now he can let everyone know about the evil spirit race's crimes. He can let them know that there's such a race. Soon, the scene is seen by all the cultivators on the 7th floor. After seeing it, they're all shocked. They're dumbfounded. Devouring corpses should be the job of demons, but the ones in front of them are another race. Some look similar to humans, but they have 4 arms on their back. This race is called the Evil Spirit Race. They specialize in devouring the cultivators of our 3 realms. They invaded from the outside world. They want to rule over the 3 realms and devour all of us. Not only do they want to devour all the races in the 3 realms, but they also want to enslave all life. There are many cultivators here who are in cahoots with them. They are traitors of the 3 realms. This is simply taking the side of the evildoers and making it easier for them to devour our 3 realms. Their characteristics are very obvious. They have many arms, and their bodies are pitch black. If you find him, don't be lenient. If you don't kill him, they'll eat you, Etianyun explained from the side. His voice quickly spread to every region. When they heard this, they were all stunned. After all, most people did not know that there was still an evil spirit race in this world that wanted to devour and enslave the 3 realms. Although the 3 realms had always been filled with intrigue and war, however, if a race from the outside world wanted to devour the 3 realms and enslave all life, that was absolutely not allowed. This was equivalent to a bunch of demonic beasts, which had always been resistant. Although the cultivators of the 3 realms schemed against each other, at least they would not eat people. This is too disgusting. How dare they say such big words and want to devour our people? I remember now. A long time ago, there was such a situation outside. My friends disappeared one by one. When they were discovered, only a pile of bones was left. When my friends fought with these guys, they would even devour them. It was really disgusting. We must exterminate them and chase them out of the 3 realms. All of them thought of all sorts of things. Many of them were related to the evil spirit race, especially when they saw that disgusting scene. All of them were eating the corpses of their companions. Some of them were even people they knew. They felt disgusted and even angrier when they saw them. If the corpses were so delicious to eat, then living beings would definitely eat even more happily. They had always thought that the corpses would be burned to ashes. Who knew that the corpses would be eaten by them? As elders, Demon God Solder and the others could naturally set the rules here. That was why they moved the corpses to the 7th floor instead of being burned to ashes. All of them were enraged, and some even looked at the cultivators at the side. After all, they had seen some of the cultivators who had a few arms, and it was obvious that they were from the evil spirit race. Although some cultivators could have a few more arms, they were still relatively rare. I don't know about the evil spirit race. Don't look at me. I'm not from the evil spirit race either. Don't wrongly accuse me. One by one, the cultivators shouted that they were innocent, saying that they were not from the evil spirit race. They are from the evil spirit race. I can feel the disgusting bloodline flowing in their bodies. At this time, Fan Shueishuan and the others stood out. What proof do you have? The evil spirit race immediately retorted. We are the descendants of the ancient underworld god king. Are we qualified? You stole our place. Even if you turn into ashes, we will still recognize you. Fan Shueishuan and the others all lifted their black robes, revealing the conspicuous mark on their foreheads. This time, they were not afraid of being exposed. Etianyan had already told them everything, so they planned to find the trash evil spirit race. The descendants of the ancient underworld god king? One by one, the cultivators were stunned. This was their territory, so their credibility immediately increased. At this time, all of them immediately marked each other and prepared to take turns to challenge them, or stare at them. If there was any action, such as a challenge, they would beat them to death. The other levels were the same. The 12 golden hairpins had necklaces that could accurately identify the evil spirit race, so it was easier to find them. They even took the initiative to give out necklaces to let everyone know who the real enemy was. At this time, the entire ancient underworld god pagoda was in chaos. All of them stared at the surrounding cultivators, wondering if they were the evil spirit race. Some of them knew that they were working with the evil spirit race, and when they saw this scene, their hearts trembled. They were actually working with the demons. However, some of them would not repent. They were determined to become the lackeys of the evil spirit race, so it did not matter what they did, as long as they did not devour them. They had always held the mentality that if they were good dogs, they would definitely have meat to eat. Stop right now. Demon God Swo was about to explode. He raised his fist again and again, but in the end he put it down. He could not continue fighting. Chapter 833. Demon God Suth was about to explode. Although the entire 3 realms would know, they could not leave now. If everything was exposed, it meant they would not be able to continue obtaining corpses, and no one would continue to fight or join in from the outside. To put it bluntly, they did not even have the most basic food. What could they use to cultivate? What could they use to strengthen their own forces? Good. You've done very well. Can you go up now? Don't waste time here. Demon God Suth gritted his teeth. He wanted to immediately swallow Etianyan, but if he did not climb up the stairs, he could not attack. Only by climbing up the stairs could he interfere with Etianyan and attack him. Then, Demon God Suth stood on the stairs and signaled Etianyan to come up. Once he entered the stairs, he would be attacked immediately. This rule was a bit of a scam. It was not at ease to specially set up a disruptor. Originally, ancient underworld deity King's idea was very simple. He wanted the elders to interfere with each other, who knew that none of them would be able to obtain the mark. After they obtained the mark, they all ran to the top. This way, it would be more interesting if they interfered with each other. The elders could not kill each other. At most, they would kick each other backwards. This way, whoever ran up first would become the pagoda master. Now that Demon God Suth did not have the mark, he still became a disruptor to affect Etianyan. He could not let him become the pagoda master so easily. If ancient underworld deity King knew about this, he would definitely vomit blood. Instead, he would be harming his own people. Who would have thought that the evil spirit race had the ability to devour bloodlines for their own use? Cultivators' bloodlines were different from divine beast bloodlines. They could not be absorbed and used for their own use. The evil spirit race could do this. Demon God Suth's actions attracted the attention of many evil spirit race. Even though he was surrounded by many cultivators, he still shouted, "Lord Suth, kill that trash." Let everyone know how powerful we are. Yes, let them know how powerful we are. If they do not surrender obediently, they will die. Kill him, kill him. One by one they shouted. Their voices could not reach Eteonyun, but they were not willing to give in. They felt that they were invincible, that they were existences that could rule over the three realms. So they looked down upon all life in the three realms from the bottom of their hearts. They were kings who had descended. They shouldn't be holed up in this place. Instead, they should be facing the entire three realms, especially when faced with the pressure of so many cultivators. They were filled with humiliation. As far as they were concerned, were the lives of the three realms worthy of doing this? Destroy these invaders. Destroy these invaders. That's right. Destroy these invaders. Destroy these pieces of trash. Kid, we all support you. Kill their old ancestor. We all have faith in you. One by one, the cultivators shouted loudly. Their voices easily covered the shouts of the evil spirit race. In the end, it was still the cultivators who had the most people. Their aura was stronger, and they easily suppressed them. Unfortunately, these shouts couldn't reach Eteonyun. But that wasn't the point. Eteonyun looked at demon god Swot, who was blocking the door, and walked forward step by step. He looked him up and down and smiled. Seems like you are very confident. Kid, don't think that I don't know what you were planning. You were able to kill demon god Mi-Ge mainly because of that treasure and demon god Mi-Ge's stupidity. He was too careless. I'm different from that piece of trash. You are too naive if you want to kill me. Boom! A figure slammed into demon god Swot at lightning speed, sending him flying and crashing into the wall. Under this heavy impact, his entire body caved in, and the terrifying power almost penetrated him. Although it did not penetrate him, many of his bones were shattered. Splat! Demon god Swot spat out a mouthful of blood. The terrifying impact had directly injured his powerful body. More importantly, his chest was gradually becoming decertified, and it was constantly eroding into his body. Your luck is really bad. Your first move was a critical hit. Eteonyun's ghostly voice sounded in his ear. When demon god Swot wanted to resist, another heavy punch came crashing down. Boom, boom, boom. Buzz! Eteonyun's fists flickered with dazzling light. Some were not so bright, while others flickered with astonishing light. Every punch was enough to destroy heaven and earth. 89 billion battle power. 110 billion battle power. 110 billion battle power. 89 billion battle power. 110 billion battle power. The fluctuation of battle power was quite strong, mainly because after the critical hit effect appeared, it suddenly increased by tens of billions of battle power. If he couldn't hit it, he would return to normal battle power, so the fluctuation was quite big. But every punch made demon god Swot unable to fight back. The power of every punch was so heaven-defying. His body was not penetrated, but the situation looked quite serious. It was basically no different from being penetrated, and there were many dents on his body. Scram! Demon god Swot roared, his 8 arms fiercely attacked. At the same time, ancient Ming divine power was attached to his body, greatly increasing his power. At the same time, his injuries quickly recovered. The ancient Ming bloodline was just that powerful. Sky-shaking divine art. Eteonyun's body seemed to have turned into an extreme iron block, fiercely smashing over, turning into a trillion-gene mountain. Combined with the terrifying, desolate ancient set, his power burst out. Crack, crack. The 8 arms that came to grab him were broken by Eteonyun, and even demon god Swot was sent flying. Oof. Demon god Swot groaned. His body has already been smashed into meat paste, and in less than a moment, his huge body became a bloody mess. His originally hard body was also smashed, and all his bones were broken. A dignified demon god was completely oppressed by Eteonyun. Even if he fought back, it was useless. Everyone outside was dumbfounded. They had never seen such a brutal way of fighting. Every punch could destroy the heavens and the earth. Especially the last collision, they felt that if they hit a mountain, that mountain would be smashed into powder. Those who were shouting that the old ancestor will win are now speechless. The god in their hearts was destroyed like this. Chapter 834. The sky trembling godly art is really useful. My strength has increased tremendously. If this wasn't the ancient Ming divine pagoda, I would have smashed through it long ago. Tianyun twisted his body. This was the body-tempering art that he had drawn previously. It could greatly increase his weight and strength. If his body weight increased, then his punches would basically reach that terrifying value. Combined with other equipment, it was enough to defeat a God-King expert. He didn't want to be so violent. But with so many people watching, he had to perform well. Only then could he intimidate them and let them know that he was strong enough. If he could make a name for himself, then the situation in the underworld would be easier to unify. I want you to die. Demon God Swote roared, and the evil spirit bloodline in his body burst out. His body began to swell up, becoming bigger and bigger. His arms also became many times thicker. His body, which had been a bloody mess, started to heal rapidly. The terrifying healing effect was much stronger than that of ordinary cultivators. In the blink of an eye, he had recovered a lot. More importantly, with the support of the ancient Ming divine pagoda, his recovery speed was greatly increased. Boom! Tianyun rushed over and pressed his small body against the ground. Then, he stepped on demon god Soto's body and looked at him coldly. You want me to die? Then show me how you can move first. Demon god Soto wanted to get up and sent Tianyun, who was standing on his chest, flying. Then, he realized that he couldn't get up at all. He was completely pressed against the ground and couldn't move at all. This made him feel that it wasn't a small human that was pressing down on him, but a terrifying mountain. It could even be called the ancient Ming divine pagoda. Get lost! Demon god Soto roared. He slapped Tianyun's body with the back of his hand, trying to send him flying. Tianyun stretched out his hand and punched forward, and with a bang, the arm exploded and turned into a mist of blood. The terrifying effect of the punch caused him immense pain. He felt that this punch was much stronger than before. Combined with the heaven-shaking divine art, each of his punches contained a force of 1,000,000,000 gene. Compared to before, it was a qualitative leap. The advantage of his terrifying weight was that he didn't need to use any strength. Just his weight alone was enough to crush a person. Now, Demon God Swote was being ruthlessly stepped on. His body caved in. Continue. Tianyun gestured for him to continue resisting. With a wave of his hand, a low-grade god artifact appeared in his hand, and he slashed towards Tianyun. A sound was heard, and the power of breaking through the air rushed over to this side. It was mixed with the terrifying heavenly fire, and it froze everything. Tianyun waved his hand, and the evil spirit divine sword appeared in his hand. With a backhand swing, he slashed out with it. Clang! The weapon in Demon God Soth's hand was sent flying. The terrifying rebounding force even broke his arm. Even though it looked like a casual swing, it still contained terrifying power. You really have a lot of hands. Tianyun coldly snorted. He lifted his foot and stepped on Demon God Soth's shoulder. Poochie, Demon God Soth's shoulder, was trampled into meat paste. Even his arm was completely broken when he stepped on it. This foot is for those who were devoured by you. Tianyun coldly snorted. Demon God Soth screamed miserably. The intense pain made him feel very uncomfortable. Even if his recovery ability is shocking, he can't recover his broken arm in a short period of time. However, his eyes are still red. He glared at Tianyun and shouted, I will kill you. Come. Tianyun stepped on another shoulder. Poochie, Demon God Soth's shoulder was trampled into meat paste again. The terrifying power caused everyone to tremble in fear. They tried to imagine what it would feel like if someone stepped on their shoulder. They felt pain just by looking at it, not to mention being stepped on. The evil spirit race is very cruel, right? Tianyun is more brutal than them. He mercilessly abused them. This foot is for those who are living in our place. You want to devour our 3 realms and enslave us, right? Let me see how you will enslave us. No matter how many of you come, I will trample them all under my feet." Tianyun coldly looked at him. He never showed mercy to his enemies. "Well done. Kill him, kill him." The cultivators who were watching from the outside all shouted one after another. This scene made them feel very relieved. Most of them clearly saw their companions inside the images. They didn't even let their corpses go. How could they not hate him? Even though people often died in the three realms, they rarely whipped corpses. Unless that person did it very disgustingly, no one would whip a corpse. They looked like humans, but they were constantly devoured. Regardless of whether they were alive or dead, they were all devoured, especially when they thought about how they had always been ruling. No wonder the position of floor master had never changed. They had always been ruling here, and these cultivators were treated as food, being eaten bit by them. The evil spirit race were all silent. Seeing their ancestor being abused to such a state, they immediately felt extremely powerless. They simply could not believe that their ancestor would be completely crushed without even having the strength to resist. Previously, they were a cut above the rest, but now they were completely defeated. What ancestor? What expert? They were all trash in front of Tianyun. Tianyun still did not hear any shouts, but his system received a lot of news, and it kept popping up crazily. Ding! Congratulations to player Tianyun for successfully obtaining the title Reaper. Reaper, the representative of the three realms. When fighting with outsiders, the damage will be doubled. The conditions for obtaining it are the king chosen by the support of over 500,000 people to fight against the outsiders. Double the damage. Of course, it wouldn't be stacked on top of the final damage, but it would be accumulated normally. For example, the crazy damage mode was 32 times. Adding this would be 34 times. It was the same for the ancient desolate set. Whether it was 3 times or 5 times, it was all accumulated. If it was directly multiplied, it would be terrifying. Not to mention Demon God Sword. Even if his father came personally, he would not be afraid. Reaper, huh? I like it. Tianyun's lips curled into a satisfied smile. Kill me. Demon God Sword coldly looked at him and said, I underestimated your strength, but don't be too happy. We are only the weakest wave. We haven't conquered this place for so long. Soon, our ancestral land will send even more powerful existences to suppress you. The three realms are destined to become our territory, no exceptions. Is that so? Then I will flatten your ancestral land in advance. Don't worry. Tianyun's expression was indifferent. He was not surprised at all. Chapter 835. Raise our ancestral land? Demon God Swot laughed, as if he heard the funniest joke in the world. You're just an ant, yet you dare to be so arrogant? Do you know how strong we are in the ancestors' land? Let me tell you, I'm just an ordinary soldier. We thought that the three realms is trash, so we didn't send any experts here. If we did, you would all be dead. You may be able to kill me, but you won't be able to resist even a finger of our general. Demon God Swot laughed unscrupulously. Even if he dies, he won't bow his head and surrender. You think it's funny? Tianyun said indifferently. If that's the case, then you can go to the underworld and wait for them. Immediately, he stomped on Demon God Swot's chest, and with a bang, Demon God Swot's body was torn apart. Then, Tianyun kicked Demon God Swot's body, and with a bang, Demon God Swot's body was torn apart. Ding! Successfully killed Demon God Swot. Reward: 1 billion EXP, 300,000 crazy point, 100,000 SBS. Reward: Evil Spirit Bloodline, Evil Spirit Bone, Evil Spirit Soul. Evil Spirit Divine Sword, low-grade Divine Tool. Evil Spirit Ring, low-grade Divine Tool. Evil Spirit Shield, low-grade Divine Tool. God Star Plate, rare. After killing Demon God Swot, Tianyun also looted his storage ring. Demon God Swot's storage ring is quite big. Just the appearance alone is completely different from the ones here. After killing Demon God Migo, his corpse quickly disappeared. Clearly, It had been moved away by the two godly monarchs. Now that demon god Swod's body is here, Tianyun can't move it away, so he quickly looted it. The harvest is not small. If I have more EXP card, I can use it. Tianyun shook his head. He didn't buy EXP card in the shop. Demon god Swod alone isn't worth it. After all, there is still demon god Swod and all the evil spirit race in the ancient Ming Spirit Pagoda. He doesn't have a lot of crazy point right now. Every time he kills, he gets hundreds of thousands of crazy point, but in fact, it's just a small part of it. Most of them cost tens of thousands of crazy points. One must know that 100 times EXP card requires millions of crazy points, so there is no way to use it on a single person. Although it was a little painful, he had no other choice but to use the most basic EXP mode. After killing Demon God Soder, everyone in the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda was in jubilation. At least they had killed a powerful existence. However, the evil spirit races were still unwilling to admit defeat and started to refute. Our ancestor is just an ordinary being. When the experts from our ancestors' land come to support you, you'll be dead. That's right, you bunch of trash. At that time, the three realms will still be ours, and killing our Lord Soder will be useless. They were all stubborn ducks, unwilling to admit that they had lost. However, they weren't wrong. They all had their own confidence. The Pagoda Master said that no matter how many of you come, you will die. Even if we die, we won't let you have your way. That's right. If you want to fight, fight now. If you have the ability, then fight with us now. What are you talking about? They began to quarrel with each other, wanting the evil spirit race to fight on the battle stage. But the evil spirit race was not a fool, so they would really fight. However, some of them were really enraged, and they all went to the battle stage to fight with the cultivators. The 12 golden hairpins rushed up without hesitation and started a crazy hunt. The descendants of the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda also did the same. They all took the lead to kill the trash that occupied their homeland. The ancient Ming Divine Pagoda was now several times more lively than before, mainly because of the great change in the camp. Most of the people were united. It can be said that they were unprecedentedly united. Before, they were opponents, but now they are teammates. This change is really amazing, because after they saw the scene, they knew that if they don't resist, not only will they die in the future, but also their loved ones. Even if it's not their loved ones, the three realms hope to fall into the hands of the evil spirit race. After killing Demon God Soder, Tianyun no longer had any obstacles. He began to run all the way up to the top of the pagoda. There were many difficulties along the way, such as the amazing gravity, all kinds of lightning, and the 5 elemental spiritual power attacks. Actually, these were not very useful. It was fine for those with low cultivation, but for Tianyun, unless the ancient Ming godly king personally attacked him or used all the power of the ancient Ming divine pagoda to attack him, he would not feel the slightest bit of pressure. Otherwise, there would be no pressure at all, and they would be able to easily reach the top. As he ran all the way, he got closer and closer to the finish line. Hundreds of thousands of eyes were staring at him, watching as Tianyun reached the top. They believed that Tianyun would become the pagoda master that he had been for so many years. The ancient Ming divine pagoda master had been vacant for too long, and many people wanted to become the pagoda master. Usually, they would be a little unwilling if they did not become the pagoda master, but now they all felt excited. The pagoda master title was deserved, and they all supported Tianyun to become the pagoda master. If he had not killed his way up, who would have known that the ancient Ming divine pagoda had such a disgusting side? I'm almost there. Tianyun's eyes flashed, and he quickly sped up, turning into a ray of light and rushing forward. After passing through a light screen, a ray of light quickly shrouded him and wrapped him up. OM! A beam of blue light descended and branded an incomparably distinct flame mark between his eyebrows. This was the mark of the heavenly Yin fire, which meant that he could successfully control the heavenly Yin fire. Congratulations, you have successfully reached the 9th level. Because you have passed the test and successfully obtained the heavenly Yin fire. Since you can become the pagoda master of the ancient Ming divine pagoda, you will have most of the authority to control the ancient Ming divine pagoda. The detailed authority is in this memory. This includes the inherited martial arts of the ancient Ming godly king, as well as the ways to use the various areas of the ancient Ming divine pagoda. Then, a ray of light shrouded him, which meant that the memories flowed into his brain. All kinds of inherited martial arts and the control methods of the ancient Ming divine pagoda belonged to him. Now, he had become the master of the ancient Ming divine pagoda. Although he could not move it, he could control most of the areas, which would definitely be enough to punish the evil spirit race. I have finally become the pagoda master. Tianyun felt that it was very magical. He originally wanted to join hands with the descendants of the ancient Ming, but now he had become the pagoda master. Would the descendants of the ancient Ming recognize him? When this scene spread to every corner of the area, everyone was excited, and Fan Shueishuan and the others were stunned. Big brother, he has really become the pagoda master. He is not the descendant of the ancient Ming divine king, but he can become the pagoda master. This is too strange that you're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.